subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Seem appropriate. But King Ji's example later was really reasonable. If she could help Lord Su Mo, Lord Su Mo would definitely have a better impression of her, right? Thinking of this, she carefully wrote down King Ji's words. 186 King Ji's love guide, unbreakable alliance, seeing Xiao Ying listening to the class seriously. King Ji felt quite accomplished. The second most important thing in the love guide is to beware of thieving cats. Thieving cats? Sakura muttered this word, somewhat puzzled. She couldn't understand such a complicated word at the moment. Yes, those vixens. Kyohime nodded. To give a simple example, if it's around Su Mo-sama, it should be Saber, right? Hearing her words, Sakura asked with some confusion. You mean, let me beware of Okita's sister? But Okita's sister is also very good to me. Besides, if Okita's sister and Su Mo brother are together, I think I can accept it. Sakura has a good impression of Okita Tsuji. She is not willing to treat Okita Tsuji as someone who needs to be vigilant. Rather, if possible, she doesn't mind being with Okita's sister. So, she has many doubts about this. Hearing what Sakura said, Kyohime shook her head. I understand the master's idea. If it's Master Su Mo, he must know more than just the two of you girls, right? Kyohime, who roughly understood the composition of her own camp, saw it clearly. Her little master was a little girl rescued from despair by Master Su Mo. Saber was a servant Su Mo had summoned for a while. Although they had a very harmonious and close relationship as 3, 5, 7, but they only knew Master Su Mo during this period. And with Master Su Mo's heroic style, the girls he had saved over the years were definitely more than just his master. He must know other girls. Well, it seems so. Sakura nodded, recalling what Su Mo had said before. It seems that brother Su Mo has several sisters at home. That's right. Kyohime clapped her hands. Sakura, like me, is the type who cares more about the feelings of her lover than other aspects. That is to say, even if Lord Su Mo has a relationship with other girls, it is acceptable. The most important thing is that Lord Su Mo must like you more. Am I right? Don't think that King Ji is a Yandere. In fact, she is the type who does not oppose the harem. Compared to the harem, what she does not tolerate is the existence of lies. As long as her lover does not lie to her, even if there are other girls, she can accept it. Although Sakura does not have the same aversion to lies as King Ji. But in terms of the harem, because of Okita Tsuji, she is not particularly opposed. So she nodded slightly. Yeah, so, how to get the love of Lord Su Mo, or even become his favorite girl, is the key. In fact, King Ji, who has never been in love even once, talked about it. That's why I told you to be wary of other vixens. Love is war, especially love between girls. Therefore, pay special attention to your competitors. No matter who it is, as long as they are women within 10 steps of Master Su Mo, they are worthy of your vigilance, Master. After Kyohime finished speaking, Sakura savored it for a long time, just as Kyohime held her head high and waited for the praise of her little master. Sakura looked at her with a faint look and spoke. Speaking of women within 10 steps of brother Su Mo, in addition to sister Okita, it's you, Berserker. What is learning to apply? This is learning to apply. Even Kyohime didn't expect it. After teaching herself, the first thing the master was wary of was herself. She couldn't help but reveal a somewhat amusing expression. How is it possible? Master, how can I snatch the master's sweetheart? Hearing her say this, Sakura felt a little relieved, but still said with some worry. But Berserker is so beautiful, has a good figure, is mature and reliable, and can help brother Su Mo. As she said this, she was still a little uneasy. I will accept the compliment from the master. Hearing what Sakura said, King Ji didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Although she was a little happy to be praised by Sakura, but she still patiently explained. But master, don't worry, I will never do that kind of thing. I am the master's servant, so I naturally support the master's love. Please rest assured. To dispel Sakura's doubts, King Ji patted her chest and said, let me prove this to you. Later, When Master Sumo comes back, I will assist the Master. I will definitely create an opportunity for the Master and Master Sumo to be alone, Kingji said confidently. Really, really? Sakura showed a surprised expression. Thank you, Berserker. No. Thank you, Sister Kingji. She immediately changed her name to Kingji, who was getting close to her in her heart. An unbreakable friendship was established between the two girls. Oh, Master, just wait, Kingji smiled confidently. At this moment, there was a knock at the door of the Matu residence. Brother Sumo. Sakura immediately jumped up like a little rabbit and ran to the door. Welcome home. Put on the sweetest smile. Sakura opened the door. Then, Brother Sumo, Sister Okita, you guys go back. She was halfway through the words of welcome. She lost her voice because of shock. Sakura stared blankly at Ilya in Sumo's arms, an iris veil with white hair and red eyes beside her. She was speechless. What's going on? Sister Kyoheim just told me to be careful of the thieving cats. And two of them came at once. One big and one small. Chapter 224, but it was after Ilya saw Sakura. He blinked and recognized the girl. Are you Sister Sakura? Immediately jumping off Sumo happily, Ilya hugged Sakura. Sister Sakura was so cute when she was little. She couldn't help but rub against Sakura. Not to mention how enthusiastic it is. Because the expansion is too abrupt. Sakura, who was being hugged and rubbed by Ilya, gave up thinking for the time being. After a long time, everyone was sitting indoors. After Sumo's general explanation, Sakura and Kingji finally understood what happened. In other words, Miss Ilya is Lord Sumo's future daughter. Kyoheim, who understood this, couldn't help but look at Irisveal. She was shocked. Why is this happening? Is it possible that even with the help of his own love book, the master was unable to counterattack and become the main palace? Instead, this white-haired guy who appeared at some point won? Why? Just because her hair is white. Master Sumo is not a white-haired person. Perhaps this shouldn't be the case. Kyoheim-chan's love guide, but she thought about it for who knows how long before she came up with the essence. How could it fail? Why is Master so unsatisfied? Thinking of this, Kingji showed an expression of hatred towards Sakura beside her. Master, it must be because you didn't follow my love guide. That's why the future will end like this, and you will lose. Otherwise, it would be you and Mr. Sumo's daughter who comes back through time. She immediately bit Sakura's ears. Hearing Kingji's words, Sakura's face turned red with embarrassment zero. Part of it was because she was blushing when she heard about my brother Sumo's daughter. The other part is ashamed of not living up to expectations. Yes, why I failed must be because I didn't trust Sister Kingji's love book enough. Think about it indeed. Whatever is the first track. This is the second sneaky cat. I have doubts about the contents of Sister Kingji's book. First, I feel that tracking is wrong. The second is that he feels that Sister Kingji should also be wary of him. I didn't expect that these doubts of mine would have such serious consequences in the future. Although my future self is still by Brother Sumo's side. This is something to be happy about. However, she was very unwilling to be able to further develop the relationship. If you can listen to Sister Kingji, if you completely trust her love guide, the future will never be like this. Thinking like this, Sakura lowered her head and accepted Kingji's criticism with a guilty conscience. Kingji also took advantage of the opportunity. Continue to tell his love story. I want to help my poor little master as much as possible and make her a winner in life. At this time, Ilya looked curiously at the two people who were whispering. Hey, is the relationship between Sister Sakura and Mother Kyoheim so good? She poked her head curiously and looked at the two of them. Hear what Ilya said. Puff. Okita Suji spit out a mouthful of tea on a Kyoheim opposite him. Kingji's mother? Miss Okita was in chaos. What did you say? Miss Kyoheim was in great shock. Sister Kyoheim. Sakura looked disbelieving and betrayed. She grabbed Kingji's wrist tightly. She is obviously only a 6-year-old girl, but she is surprisingly strong at this moment. Berserker, what's going on? Broken. The unbreakable alliance is broken. The plastic friendship between girls is broken. Faced with the title King Ji's mother, Sakura finally couldn't help it and looked at Kyoheim with the eyes of a betrayer. Good on you, Berserker. I said why I will fail in the future. It turns out it is all because of you. What I said just now is because I didn't learn the love manual well or anything. Now it seems that it is completely an excuse. All lies. Unexpectedly. 3.0 You taught me the secret of love and then ran away on your own. No wonder you looked so flustered just now. I see. You reminded me to be careful of that sneaky cat. It turns out to be you. Sakura realized. She gradually understood everything. This world is so cruel and real. Even a 6-year-old like her would be deceived. No, that's not right. The world has always been so cruel. Didn't I almost get thrown into the insect barn before? It wasn't until he met Brother Su Mo that his destiny changed. But under the protection of Brother Su Mo, he became naive. Only then did I believe Berserker's lies. No, I'm not. I didn't. Master, you have to trust me. Kingji shook her head in panic. She really never thought of stealing her master's sweetheart. When I told her the love guide before, I meant it all sincerely. I really don't have any other ideas at all. Although Lord Su Mo is handsome, has a good personality, is very strong, and treats me well. Hiss, I can't keep thinking about it. If I keep thinking about it, I can't turn back. Kingji, with a sad face, drooped her head dejectedly, with a guilty expression on her face. And Sakura had a bitter and resentful expression on her face that you actually betrayed me. The situation between the two of them was reversed in an instant. 187 My daughter is a cup. Sakura looked at Kingji with a dark face. Kingji shrank her head and pretended to be dead. Only Miss Okita was shocked. Miss Ilya, she asked with a slightly trembling voice. Why? Why do you call Kingji Kingji Mom? What she didn't say was, why is she Kingji Mom and I am Sister Okita? She was here first, becoming a servant or sticking with the master. It was Miss Okita who came first. But why? Why did things turn out like this? Ms. Okita couldn't understand it. Did she fail miserably? Chapter 225 After blurting out, Ilya immediately covered her mouth. No! Kingsley's sister Kingsley told me not to say too much. She immediately shook her head, unwilling to reveal more. In order to avoid causing space-time paradox, are there certain restrictions? Suemo saw Ilya's concerns. Ilya nodded desperately. All right, Suemo looked at everyone. Don't ask any further questions. Even in the future, things may change, so you don't have to worry about it. He himself is in a good state of mind. With the golden finger of Miss Space, he himself can't tell where he will reach in the future. However, 05 is absolutely to a degree that I cannot imagine now. So his curiosity is not that great. I heard Suemo say this. No matter how much Ms. Okita cared about it, she could only die down. Sakura bit her lip with a how could she not care expression, but she was obedient and glared at King Ji. I had no choice but not to continue asking. King Ji felt aggrieved and was glared at by her little master. But I was speechless. I can only show my loyalty with a smile. Seeing everyone quiet down, Suemo finally spoke. We will not discuss matters about the future for the time being. However, Ilya, the reason why you came to this era is because you have a mission, right? Should we be able to talk about this aspect? I heard Suemo ask this. Ilya breathed a sigh of relief. Ignoring Sister Okita's pitiful look, she smiled sweetly at Suemo. These can be said. Before coming here, I had already listened to my father's words and reorganized the Einsburn family. Now my father, Mother Ellie, and Ilya are all the highest level controllers of Einsburn. As soon as he opened his mouth, it was a big deal. Hearing this, Ilya, you said you reorganized the Einsburn family? Irisville looked shocked. Why doesn't she know it herself? But think back, ever since Ilya was summoned, the head of the family, Ahadion, seemed to have never issued any orders regarding the Holy Grail War. Hey, I did it without telling my mother. Ilya touched her head sheepishly. Anyway, Grandpa Ahad is voluntary, so there's nothing wrong with it, right? The Einsburn family is different from ordinary magician families. This entire race is made up of artificial humans. Even Ahadion, the head of the Einsburn family, is an artificial human. All of their artificial beings have only one set purpose. Arrive at the cup of heaven and fulfill the Winter Saint's sad wish. For all the artificial beings of the Einsburn family, the third method is their eternal pursuit. Not so much that they are human. It would be better to say it is a robot with the same purpose. And the reason why Ilia was able to control the Einsburn family right after she was summoned. Except that she is also a member of the Einsburn family. What's more important? Because I am the cup of heaven, the third method itself. Ilia said proudly, puffing out her barren chest. The third method of living, an optimized version of the Winter Saint. It was precisely because of Ilia that the Einsburn family's long-cherished wish was fulfilled. Only then could she directly and smoothly gain the highest authority over the Einsburn family. Hear her say that. Iris Veal showed a shocked expression again. Her daughter is actually the third method alive? Su Mo was also shocked. So, my daughter is actually a cup? Will he have such bad taste in the future? Wrong. It seems that he is evil enough now. That's okay. In other words, in the future, I also gave the third method to Ilia. That's what it's all about, right? Su Mo concluded. The 5 magics of the moon-shaped world. Only the third method is somewhat different. People who master the third method, soul materialization, can materialize their own or other people's souls, letting others become the third method of living. However, the people whose souls he gave materialized, strictly speaking, it is nothing more than a product of the third method, just like beings like fantasy species or servants. It itself is only a user who can use the materialization performance of the soul. The only real owner of the third method is Su Mo. He can deprive or grant others the material characteristics of the soul at will. Moreover, only he can connect with the root and refine the third method to a deeper level. According to Su Mo's own plan, if she really gave birth to a daughter, Ilia, for the sake of its safety, the possibility of granting it a third law is quite high. After all, magical girl Ilia is also quite cute. So he quickly understood the origin of the third method in Ilia. Dad is right. Ilia nodded. Aside from the Einsburn family, my biggest task this time is actually to bring this to Dad. With that said, she took out a magic book from under her skirt. This is... Su Mo turned over 2 pages casually. He immediately showed an expression of surprise. God summoning technology? Isn't this what he is studying now? Su Mo in the world of god killers needs magic that can stably summon gods. He has been studying the Matu family's technical information on summoning heroic spirits for the past 2 days. Progress is quite slow. Unexpectedly, his daughter Ilia directly brought the finished product. Looking at these materials, many of them are not technologies involved in the Holy Grail War. After flipping through it casually, Su Mo saw the problem. A lot of the information mentioned in it seems to be a systematic magic treatise. And the largest magician organization in the Xinhua world is undoubtedly Clock Tower. A lot of these should be top-secret information from the Clock Tower's spiritual science department. I actually got this in the future. Is it possible that I will end up ruining the Clock Tower in the future? He was a little confused. Hearing what he said, Ilia wanted to complain. How dare those people in the Clock Tower dare to mess with you? But in order not to interfere with history, she held back. Su Mo looked at these magic materials with great interest. These god-summoning techniques not only synthesize myths and legends, but also deliberately omit many magic theories unique to the Xinhua world. Instead, use ley lines and myths and legends to arrange summoning rituals. Very versatile. Even if it is placed directly in a different world, as long as it is a god with the same myths and legends, the possibility of summoning it down is quite high. Chapter 226. This information is of great help to me. Thank you, Ilia. Su Mo said to Ilia. It's the best if you can help Dad. Ilia was also very happy to be praised by her father. At this time, Su Mo finished flipping through the previous pages. Information on the spirit summoning ceremony, it actually only takes up half of the magic book. The other half involves the technology of spiritual-based manipulation. The technology of summoning gods is indeed necessary now. Su Mo looked at Ilia with some confusion. But why is there still spiritual control technology? Even if he had thought about adjusting Okita Suji's spirit base. But in fact, there is no rush in this matter. Wait until you have mastered the third method and accumulated enough knowledge about the soul. Things like adjusting the spirit base are a piece of cake. There is no need to do it now. Hearing Su Mo's words, Ilya smiled sheepishly. Actually, Ilya begged Dad to let me bring this here. It mainly involves your well-behaved and obedient daughter. A very small wish. What wish? Su Mo asked doubtfully. Hearing this, Ilya glanced at Irisville. He hesitated. She secretly leaned into Su Mo's ear. Dad, let's talk about this when I see you tonight. Remember to keep it a secret from Ellie's mother. I saw my daughter begging me desperately and blinking her eyes. A mysterious look. Su Mo thought for a moment and nodded. 188 King G. Master, you have to trust me, although I don't know what Ilya wants to ask of me. But a request for my lovely daughter. He had no intention of refusing, although I don't know why. I went to this era with great effort just to pass on a god-summoning technology. But the purpose of Ilya's trip really has no other purpose. After roughly understanding this, it's getting late. It's time to sleep. Ilya immediately ran to Irisville, who looked suspicious. What are you talking about with your mother? The little wish that was kept secret just now was deceived. Then Ailey's mother and I will go to bed. Ilya found the quilt and an empty room in Matu residence with ease. Before taking Irisville away, he even winked at Su Mo. The meaning is to let him not forget the agreement at night. Su Mo nodded skillfully. He was already used to night raids. When I was a child, Kui was often afraid and would often come to me with a pillow in my arms at night. Although I just met Ilya. But Su Mo, who knew her character well, didn't find it strange either. After Ilya and Irisville left, it was as if a certain aura of the palace had disappeared. The expressions of Sakura, Kyoheim, and Okita Tsuji all became more relaxed. King Ji originally looked guilty. After Ilya, the future daughter, left. Immediately the spirit came. She immediately tugged on Sakura's sleeve and bit her ear to her little master. Master, you have to believe me. I am your servant, and I will definitely not betray you. So saying, all she got was a speechless look from Sakura. Have you become Kingji's mother? Can I believe these nonsense? Wugu, unable to argue, Kingji screamed sadly. Then she regained her fighting spirit. If Master doesn't believe me, I will prove myself with facts. Proof? Sakura was a little confused. Didn't I say before that I will definitely give you an assist, Master? Kingji said with a serious face. Master, just be careful. I will fulfill my promise now. Today, I will try my best to give you, Master, a chance to be alone with Master Su Mo. Even let you and Mr. Su Mo be alone in the bedroom. I'm not doing this for anything else, just to prove a point. I, Kingji, never lie. I am innocent. Original. Sakura is very suspicious of Kyoheim's motives. But I heard Kingji say this. She showed an excited expression. A chance to be alone with brother Su Mo. Sister Kingji, did you really not lie to me this time? Sakura hesitated and asked. Of course not. Seeing that Sakura's attitude had improved, Kyoheim immediately patted her chest and spoke decisively. Master, just be careful. Today I will clear my grievances. Just watch me do it. Putting the girl's dignity on the line. It must be successful this time too. Kyoheim, who hates lies the most, doesn't want to be regarded as a liar. So saying, under Sakura's expectant gaze, Kyoheim stepped forward. When he walked to Su Mo, Kingji heard that Su Mo was talking to Okita Tsuji. Saw Saber Okita Tsuji. Originally, Kingji thought this was a very cute girl because she took good care of Sakura. As Sakura's servant, she also had a good impression of Okita Tsuji. But since today, when Ilya blurted out Kingji Mama, noticed Okita Tsuji's unbelievable eyes. As a girl, she couldn't help but think of two words when. Facing Okita Tsuji, there was a vague winner mentality. Although Kingji didn't like Su Mo now. But if the future that Ilya said was true. In other words, Kingji won a big victory. Coming from behind, not only defeated her own master, but also defeated Okita Tsuji, who was her predecessor. Although saying this, it's a bit sorry for her own little master. But for the future of her victory, Kingji is actually very happy. I didn't expect that I could fight my way out of the crowd of girls and become the winner. It seems that Master Su Mo has a good eye. Chapter 227 at least, I can appreciate Kyoheim-chan's beauty. On that note, in Kingji's heart, her favorability towards Su Mo has inevitably increased significantly. But Kingji is a girl with a bottom line. Since I agreed to the master, I will never take action against the master's sweetheart. She still has this bit of integrity. In this way, Kyoheim had the mentality of creating a chance for her master to be alone. I heard what Su Mo said to Tsuji Okita. Let Kingji sleep with Sakura tonight. Okita, come to my room today. I have something to ask you. Hear this. Kingji was completely shocked. What's going on? Did you say that you won? Why did Master Su Mo directly invite Saber to spend the night? As a mature and reliable girl, Kingji naturally understood what this invitation meant. When a man invites a woman, are there other things that can happen? Seeing Tsuji Okita's happy expression, Kingji realized, got it. It must be after Saber knows the future of her defeat. I also want to change this future. So we took the offensive directly. Originally, the master and slave had a good impression of each other. As time goes by, it is not impossible to proceed directly to this step. However, if this is the case, the future will definitely be changed. In other words, Kyoheim-chan can't win? Wrong. In other words, my little master will be defeated by Okita Tsuji first. Master's big crisis. After realizing this, Kingji thought to herself that luckily she came here in time. Otherwise, it will be too late. Then, there was no time to go back and discuss with Sakura. For Sakura's future happiness, Kingji immediately interjected. Wait, Master Su Mo, did you just say that you wanted me to rest with Master tonight? Su Mo, who was discussing matters with Chief Okita, nodded when he heard this. Yes, what's the matter? He looked at Kingji curiously. Kingji nodded, showing a troubled expression. I think Lord Sumo's arrangement may be a little inappropriate. Master was just saved by you and is still a little timid. Today, 2 more strangers moved in. With the master's personality, it is inevitable that he will be a little uncomfortable. At this time, it's inevitable that I won't be able to sleep at night. I think it would be better to have someone familiar with me to accompany the master. Kingji, who was unwilling to lie, carefully considered her words. Then he hinted crazily that he wanted Su Mo to live with Xiaoying. Yeah, indeed. Su Mo thought about Sakura's character. I think what Kingji said makes sense. As expected of Kyoheim, she is able to care so carefully about Sakura's mood. Su Mo praised her. This is a compliment from the heart. Although Su Mo usually cares about Xiaoying, he is a male after all. In many aspects, the degree of mental delicacy is still not as good as that of girls. That's why Okita Tsuji was always allowed to sleep with Sakura before. Now it seems that the choice of letting Kingji take care of Sakura was indeed the right one. Master Su Mo, you are too generous. Hearing Su Mo's heartfelt praise, Kingji is very happy to be able to distinguish between truth and lies. Hold it, don't laugh. Otherwise, if the master sees it, he will think that he is sneaking away. When Kingji was holding back her laughter like this, Su Mo asked, since you want someone you know well, why can't you? Kingji, although we have only known each other for a day, I think you are capable of comforting Sakura, right? Regarding Kingji's ability to raise children, Su Mo still quite recognized it. From the beginning, she quickly became familiar with Sakura. If Kyoheim is accompanying Sakura, Sakura should not be too uneasy. Hearing Su Mo's compliment again, Kingji finally couldn't help the smile on her face. Master Su Mo is so good at praising others. And it's sincere. How could she resist this? No wonder my future self will fall. Think so. She had not forgotten why she had come. He immediately shook his head. Although I like Master very much, Master actually doesn't trust me enough. So, right now I don't have the ability to make the Master trust me. Only those who are more familiar with the Master can do it. Kingji continued to hint wildly. What she said was all true. However, she hid the reason why Sakura didn't trust her. It's not that the relationship isn't good enough, but Sakura is worried about Kingji escaping. There is no need to say these words. Don't you trust me enough? Sumo was a little surprised, thinking of when Ilya spoke before. The way Kyoheim and Sakura were whispering and biting their ears didn't look like they were close enough. Rather, the relationship is actually good enough that we can quarrel. But he also doesn't quite understand the friendship between girls. Since King Ji judged so, you must have your reasons. He accepted it. Then he looked at Okita Tsuji with regret. It seems that you can't come to my place today. Yeah, Okita Tsuji also nodded, seeing the two of them being so reasonable. Thinking back to the trust that Sumo had placed in him before Dash, since King Ji judged so, you must have your reasons. The first time King Ji used half-truths to mislead others, she felt so guilty that she was about to explode. Sir Sumo was so good to her. He really trusted her, but she misled Sir Sumo. This is too wrong. King Ji wanted to blow herself up and admit her mistake. She could be beaten or punished. But thinking of the master's appearance, she still made up her mind. For the sake of the master's love, this is worth it. In the future, I will repay Sir Sumo's trust. Chapter 228. Kyoheim thinks so. She heard words that stunned her. Director Okita, who reached an agreement with Sumo, sighed. After glancing at Sakura, he smiled. Then today, let me accompany Goodly Zhao, Xiaoing to sleep, since he is someone Sakura wants to be familiar with. Okita Tsuji was naturally the first choice. In the past days, she had always been with Sakura. Although it's a pity that I can't be alone with the master, the child's psychological condition is more important than this. Tsuji Okita naturally agreed to this request. And heard this, King Ji was stunned. No, what I'm looking for is Master Sumo, not you. I want Master Sumo to rest with Master. She was about to speak. At this time, Sumo turned his attention to her. Since Okita wants to accompany Sakura, then today, King Ji, please come to my room instead. Just in time, you also need to replenish your magic power now. As he said that, Sumo looked at Xiaoing aside. He directly stated the final decision. Sakura, I'll lend you my servant for one night. Okita will rest with you today. Oha! It's over. Everything is over. King Ji didn't dare to look back, but she also felt her little master's intense gaze that could kill someone. You said you want to assist me? Then he ran to Brother Sumo's room. King Ji opened her mouth in despair. Want to explain, but I don't know where to start. I feel like it will only get darker and darker. Master, you have to believe me, she said dejectedly. He couldn't even hear the sound. I don't know when. She herself had no confidence. That's all. Under Sakura's gaze, it was like a ball of stagnant water. King Ji, her good sister and good supporter, followed Sumo into the room with her head hanging down. 189. Late at night, Ilya attacks after being dejected. He followed Sumo into the room. Hear a bang of the door closing. At this time, King Ji woke up with a start. Wait, Master Sumo. Even if we may be together in the future, everything is uncertain now. Isn't it too fast to replenish magic power at this time? King Ji hurriedly refused. She naturally knows what magic replenishment means, although there are many ways to do this. But there is only one most efficient one, not to mention that he was called into the room. What will happen next? Do you need to guess? Although Sumo praised her before, she was very happy. However, the emotional foundation has not yet reached this level. Not to mention, he would betray the master. This won't work. Looking at King Ji, who waved her hands hurriedly, Sumo asked a little strangely, "Did you misunderstand something strange? I asked you to come here to replenish your magic power, just by the way. The main purpose is to study the feasibility of this." As he spoke, Sumo shook the magic book that Ilya handed to him in his hand. Spiritual control technology. Only then did King Ji react. So, Master Sumo called Saber together earlier for this reason? She couldn't help but ask. Sumo nodded. Okita's sickness, unique skills affect his performance too much. I originally wanted to try to see if I could remove this curse on her using spiritual control technology. However, right now, I don't have this ability. Today I just plan to test the technology of spiritual base operation. Since Sakura can't live without Okita as a servant, let me test it out. Why? Don't you want to? Su Mo asked 357 with some confusion. The reason why he didn't ask Kingji before, just because this is just a small thing to help. Moreover, the results of the spirit-based manipulation technology are also useful to Kyoheim, a servant. Generally speaking, there is no need to say no. And after hearing Su Mo's words, King Ji breathed a sigh of relief. Fine. It's better if it's not that kind of thing. Although for myself, I feel a little bit lost. But I didn't feel sorry for Master. That's not bad. After you go back, you only need to explain it to the Master, and the Master will definitely understand you. Thinking like this, King Ji finally regained her mood. After coming back to her senses, she nodded happily when faced with Su Mo's question. If it's just to help Master Su Mo verify the technology, there will be no problem. It wouldn't take much time anyway. Kyoheim thinks so. He sat obediently in front of Su Mo. It is a very cute duck sitting. Even Su Mo couldn't help but look at the white silk a few more times. Then, he began to study the spiritual energy manipulation technology brought by Ilya without any distractions. The essence of a servant is the degradation of a heroic spirit. The heroic spirit itself in the Hall of Valor. In fact, it is an existence similar to an elf. This is very similar to the setting of gods in the world of Godslayer. The servant itself is just a clone of the heroic spirit. In other words, a heroic spirit that descended in an incomplete form. If the heroic spirit is compared to water, saber, lancer, rider, and other classes are containers. Pour water into the container. The result is the common servants in the Holy Grail War. As for the part of the spiritual base that the container cannot accommodate, it is discarded. Therefore, the strength of the servant is often inferior to that of the heroic spirit. The spiritual base manipulation technology interferes with the most essential power of the servant, the spiritual base. If the spiritual base is widened, it is equivalent to expanding the container. The strength of the servant will increase. This operation is also called the re-emergence of the spiritual base. By repeatedly summoning the spiritual base, it is gradually expanded. However, the re-emergence of the spiritual base itself has a limit. After all, the power of the heroic spirit itself is constant. Chapter 229, if the servant's spiritual base is expanded to the same extent as the main body, it will almost reach its limit. No matter how big the container is, it is meaningless. After all, the water of the heroic spirit's main body is only so much. This point is to interfere with the spiritual base from the perspective of quantity. In addition, the spiritual base can also be interfered with from the perspective of quality. The same amount of water, carrying an ordinary spiritual base and a high-level spiritual base. The power exerted is also completely different. In other words, if the ordinary spiritual base is replaced with a higher level, for example, the crown spiritual base, the strength of the servant can also be greatly improved. However, in order to withstand the crown spiritual base, there are certain requirements for the servant. Not everyone is suitable. In addition to quality and quantity, there are many ways to transform the spiritual base. Add, delete, modify. A series of operations you can think of are available. It is a piece of cake to remove Okita Tsuji's sickly curse. However, there must be a prerequisite for the following operations. That is to master the third law. Become the holder of the third law. Only those who possess the third method can directly operate the spirit base, so casually. This is difficult to achieve even for Ilya, a product of the Heaven's Grail. After all, soul materialization, the operation of the soul, is the forte of the third method. Although most operations cannot be performed, but experiments in other aspects, but can still be performed. Su Mo confirmed the contents of the magic book. Time passed by minute. Soon it was midnight. King Ji, who thought it would be over soon, never thought that it would last so long. If before, she still felt that she could explain it clearly. Now, she is not so confident. Stayed together for several hours. Nothing was done. Who would believe it? At this moment, Su Mo let go of his hand on the white silk. I have verified the general situation once. Thank you for your hard work. He confirmed the knowledge in the magic book. He only needs to wait until he obtains the Holy Grail. Then he can operate directly, not to mention deleting the weak curse on Okita Tsuji. even if it was to let Okita Suji evolve into the demon god Suji. It wouldn't be a big problem. It's finally over. Even as a servant, Kyoheim felt a little sore in her legs. She was about to stand up, thinking about how to explain to Sakura. Suddenly, there was a rustling sound at the door. Knock, knock! Someone knocked on the door. For a moment, Kyoheim panicked. She didn't know that Ilya was coming to find Su Mo. She thought it was Sakura who came over to see if Kyoheim was still in Su Mo's room so late. She always felt like a mistress who was caught. If I'm caught now, I can't explain it clearly. It's already midnight now. Thinking of this, before Su Mo had time to say anything. In a panic, Kyoheim forgot that she could still transform into a spirit. She looked around for a place to hide. Unfortunately, Su Mo's room had just been cleaned up not long ago, not to mention people. Even mice could not hide. She looked around. She resolutely got into Su Mo's quilt and pretended to be an ostrich. What are you doing? Su Mo was a little confused when he saw King Ji's operation. Master Su Mo, don't tell Xiaoying that I stayed here so late. Xiaoying will be angry. King Ji stuffed her head into the quilt and stuck out a dragon horn and said to him, "This way, it looks a little cute, but although I don't know why you want to keep it a secret, but who can you hide from like this?" Su Mo complained speechlessly. "Aren't you a servant? You're a spirit." "Yes." Hearing him say that, King Ji remembered this matter. She immediately turned into a spirit and hid invisibility. Seeing her like this, Su Mo wanted to complain. In fact, even if you turned into a spirit, as a master, Xiaoying would definitely know where you are. But after thinking about it, he didn't say anything. "Come in," he shouted to the outside of the door. The door was gently pushed open. Ilya's figure jumped in directly. Seeing that this was not Sakura, King Ji breathed a sigh of relief. However, since she was invisible, it would be embarrassing to show up again now. Just continue to be invisible. Thinking of this, she saw Ilya walking around in Su Mo's room. Then, the little girl asked Su Mo directly, "Dad, where did King Ji's mother hide again?" I sensed a familiar breath. "King Ji's mother must have come to attack you at night, just now." Hearing Ilya's firm tone, King Ji was shocked. How did this child know that he was hiding aside? Su Mo was also confused. "How do you know King Ji has been here?" Hearing this question, Ilya said with some amusement, "Because King Ji's mother has always liked to attack Dad at night. I remember that in the past, when I got up in the middle of the night and wanted to sleep with my father, I could often see King Ji's mother panicking. It was so fun." The girl sighed innocently. And heard this, Su Mo looked strange. With Kyoheim's enthusiastic personality, it's normal to do this. But I remembered King Ji's panic and rejection just now. It doesn't feel like the same person. King Ji on the side was completely blushing with embarrassment. Would my future self actually do such a thing? Attack Master Su Mo every day and night? Hiss, with my own personality, it's not like I can't do it. But if this is the case, doesn't it mean that he has definitely betrayed the master? How does this work? Kyoheim-chan fell into confusion. In her little heart, another thought suddenly sprouted. If this is the future that is destined to happen, doesn't it mean that he and Mr. Su Mo are destined partners? Looking at it this way, it seems a bit romantic. But what should the master say? A girl with a passionate love. At this moment, I am in a dilemma. Chapter 230-190 Ilya's True Purpose. Tonight's Holy Grail decisive battle, he was exposed by Ilya on the spot. If King Ji can confirm that she likes Su Mo, I wouldn't mind. Maybe he would just come up and pester Su Mo to let go. However, right now, she still has a certain amount of moral baggage. No matter what, I am here to help Master with assists. Just contact Su Mo directly. Forgive her for not being able to do it. Kyoheim finally showed up, under Ilya's eyes that said, sure enough, she hid her face in embarrassment and ran away. After King Ji left, Su Mo looked at Ilya, who was holding his hand, and then asked, Ilya, what is the little wish you mentioned before? If I'm not wrong, this is the reason why you came back here, right? After talking to Ilya before, Su Mo thought for a while and found out. Whether it is the Einsburn family, the technology of summoning gods, or the technology of spiritual base manipulation. In fact, it's not even worth the trouble to come back. Wait until Su Mo wins the Holy Grail War and masters the third method. the Einsburn family will naturally surrender. And the technology of summoning gods and spiritual-based manipulation technology is not something that can be done in a hurry at all. No matter morning or evening, the time in this world and the time in the foggy space are not consistent. There is really no need to master it in advance. And you can see it by looking at the manuscript of this magic book. Rather, this is after careful preparation by my future self. I specially asked Ilya to bring me the necessary props now. Rather, it was after my future self saw Ilya wanting to run back. He threw it to her casually and asked her to bring a note to him. Something like a souvenir, not particularly precious at all. So, no matter how you think about it, the first two reasons don't make sense. Ilya hit it. What she planned to secretly wait until midnight to tell herself was the real reason why she traveled through time and space. Hey, I knew I couldn't hide it from Dad. Hearing what Su Mo said, Ilya smiled sheepishly. Sure enough, even my father in his teenage years was very powerful. Tell me, what's the real reason you're here? Su Mo asked curiously. He also guessed the reason why Ilya had to run back so long ago, but didn't guess. Just ask. Here his questions. Ilya lowered her head shyly. Then he whispered to Su Mo, Dad, I want a sister. Su Mo was stunned when he heard Ilya's reason. You came all the way here just to remind me to give you a sister. Can you still force this kind of thing? Wait a minute. Irisveal is an artificial human. If the embryos are cloned into twins, it's not impossible. Subconsciously, I felt a little ridiculous. However, if you think about it carefully, it is not impossible. While he was thinking about the technical details, Ilya waved her hands quickly. No, that's not the case. It won't work if it is born between Dad and Ellie's mom. Then there will be a time and space paradox. Ilya explained in detail. In short, Irisveal originally gave birth to only one child in the world line. It's best not to change it rashly now. What should I do? Live with someone else? Su Mo said doubtfully. I don't know if a servant can get pregnant. It would be possible if the servant obtained a body. Heard him thinking about these weird things. Ilya immediately shook her head again. No, Dad. This is not what I want. That's right. She blushed and said, I want to make a sister with my daddy. As soon as the statement came out, Su Mo was stunned. But not completely stunned. It's normal for children to like their father, but one cannot, at least one should not. Thinking about his words, he didn't know how to evaluate Ilya's thoughts. Is my education of this child a little crooked? My daughter's daughter or my daughter? And at this time, Ilya finally realized the ambiguity in her words. With her pretty face flushed, she immediately shook her head in panic. No, wait. Dad, I didn't mean that. I just heard from my father that there is another possibility in me. If it can be unfolded, I can get a sister or something. But this possibility must be implanted by my father when I was born for it to take effect. That's why I came here specially. Please, Dad, please prepare in advance. That way, then I can bang and get a sister. For this reason, my father and I must work together to create my sister. That's what I mean. Slightly confusing. Ilya expressed all her thoughts. Well, I understand. What you want is Xiaohei. Although she said it was confusing. But Su Mo understood immediately. The sister Ilya refers to as Kuro in the world line of magical girl Ilya. Chloe von Einsburn. That is a personality separated from Ilya, another possibility of Ilya. If the magical girl Ilya in front of him now is the world line of love and miracles that was born when she met her parents who loved her the most, then Chloe, commonly known as Xiaohei, is the personality hidden behind. However, in this world line, Ilya is the daughter of himself and Irisveal, so she is naturally carefree and does not need to face the Holy Grail War. Therefore, her personality will naturally tend to be more like the magical girl Ilya. However, because all the dark sides and the Holy Grail War were solved by Su Mo alone, there is not enough reason for Xiaohei to be born. It needs to be supplemented by a ritual when Ilya is born. Then let this personality coexist with Ilya for 10 years. Grow up in Ilya's own knowledge and experience. In this way, sister Xiaohei will eventually be born. The reason why Ilya traveled through time. Just want to remind Su Mo, when Ilia was born in this world, remember to plant the seed in her body. When Ilia returns to her own time point, Xiaohei will naturally be separated from Ilia's body. That is the so-called Su Mo and Ilia work together to create a sister. And because Xiaohei was officially born after Ilia returned. So, this also happens to avoid the time and space paradox. After understanding this point, Su Mo felt a little toothache. Just for this kind of thing, I deliberately sent people to the Holy Grail War. Will my future self be too powerful or too boring? Chapter 231. At first, he thought that his future self had some information that he wanted to reveal. Now it seems that it was just because Ilia suddenly mentioned that she wanted a sister. Then it was like sending a child on an autumn outing. My future self simply threw Ilia 10 years ago. Isn't this too casual? Dad will be very strong in the future. Dad has always been the strongest. Ilia said proudly. Little flatterer, I heard your wish, no problem. Su Mo pinched Ilia's nose in a funny way. I agreed to my daughter's little request. It's just a seed planted in advance. You can gain one more daughter in the future. This kind of good thing is not to be missed. That's great. I know Dad is the best to me. 0 asked for flowers. 0 Ilia hugged Su Mo happily. Unexpectedly, this trip went smoothly, as expected of a father. The next morning, Su Mo, who got up early, practiced swordsmanship with Okita Tsuji as a routine. Sakura and Ilia were still little kids, so they were too sleepy to get up. Kyohan was making breakfast, but Irisville was not helping. 1-step ultrasound, 2 steps without a break, 3 steps to death, the nameless 3-stage thrust. The sword shadow thrust forward, and a hole was easily pierced through the tree trunk in the courtyard. If you look carefully, you will find it. Not so much a hole pierced by a sword. It would be better to say that where the sword struck, things collapsed, not even a scrap of wood was left. Master is so amazing. He mastered my secret sword so quickly. Okita Tsuji on the side looked at Su Mo, who was wielding an attack that was no different from his own. Exclaimed. It had only been a while since the master had already learned all his swordsmanship skills. Even the most elite secret sword, nameless 3-stage thrust, has been learned by Su Mo. It feels like I have nothing left to teach master. Thinking of this, Miss Okita felt a little disappointed. Is it possible that I am about to lose my job? Then continue to create new sword skills. Su Mo sheathed his sword, looking at the somewhat dejected Okita Tsuji. He couldn't help but speak. I remember that historically Okita, you died very early. As a young and famous genius swordsman, although your swordsmanship is powerful, it is far from your limit. Okita Tsuji was a swordsman genius who died young. Unnamed 3-stage thrust is a sword skill that can be sublimated into a noble phantasm. For Okita Tsuji, it was a secret sword that he had already mastered when he was young. Since you have learned swordsmanship for several years, you can grow to this point. If you continue to study along the way of swordsmanship now, you will definitely surpass yourself soon, right? If so, during his lifetime, Okita Tsuji could not improve his swordsmanship due to physical reasons. If she, who is now a servant, continues to study hard, my swordsmanship is stronger than my previous self, right? Hearing Su Mo's words, Okita Tsuji shook his head. But master, as a servant, no matter how hard I train, I can't become stronger. The moment she became a heroic spirit, her growth was fixed. Even if he could still master the art of swordsmanship, his strength would not be reflected back to himself. This is common sense among servants. However, Su Mo denied this common sense. That's not necessarily the case. Even as a servant, it is possible to continue to grow. As long as you get the third method, I can transform you. No matter what, Okita Tsuji at least has the possibility of reaching Demon God Tsuji. This possibility can be developed if the third method is used. So, don't be discouraged. I believe in your potential. Su Mo smiled slightly and encouraged Mr. Okita. Master, after hearing Su Mo's encouragement, there was also a plan proposed. Okita Tsuji immediately showed moved eyes and rushed forward happily. He rubbed Okita Tsuji's head. Su Mo looked into the distance. The swordsmanship training starts here. I've probably figured out the situation of this Holy Grail War. Let's settle everything tonight. Su Mo, who had obtained a lot of information from Ilya, did not intend to continue playing. Most of the spiritual-based manipulation techniques rely on the power of the third method. Therefore, it is only right to resolve the Holy Grail War in advance. Tonight is the final decisive battle. Kai 191 Tokiomi. Kirai is still reliable when Su Mo decided to end the Holy Grail War. Tosaka residence. Tokiomi Tosaka was persuading his followers with earnest words. And his servant Ishtar. At this moment, she is not using her beautiful goddess form, which is also the girl form. Instead, he regained the body shape of an elementary school student. Ishtar grinded her little tiger teeth and glared at Tosaka Tokiomi in front of her with an angry look. What are you talking about, you idiot? You want me to form an alliance with that stupid guy who doesn't even know the goddess's name? Do you want to die? Ishtar could never have imagined it. This idiot in front of her actually wanted her to join forces with the king of conquerors. He was just a human who didn't even know the goddess of glory. He was even a fool who slandered the goddess. It was good enough that Ishtar didn't kill him. He actually wanted her to join forces with that guy? Humph! If they really wanted to join forces, she might as well choose the man named Su Mo. At least he knew the name of the goddess. No! The insult to the goddess by that man named Su Mo was even worse than that by the king of conquerors. If she met this guy again, Ishtar would want to kill him as soon as possible. Join forces? Delusion. The proud goddess doesn't need to join forces with anyone. She can carry the whole game by herself. Probably. Hearing Ishtar's expected speech, Saka Tokiomi covered his head with a headache. He knew it would be like this, but he had to continue to persuade. Honorable goddess, please listen to me. The god named Su Mo is most likely the king of gods, Indra, the emperor of heaven. Facing such an opponent, it is best to join forces with others. If you can put aside your hatred for the time being and settle it with the king of conquerors later, I think your chances of winning will be greater. The king of conquerors' move to seek allies in front of everyone was by no means reckless. It might cause Su Mo himself to take action, but compared to this risk, the gain is greater. Chapter 232 at least. Everyone present heard the wish of the conquering king. Gather all the followers to fight against the gods. And this wish is also the wish of all other masters. Even Tosaka Tokiomi, the master of the goddess Ishtar, is like this. The strength Su Mo showed was too powerful. Its hidden identity is too shocking. So much so that he didn't have much confidence in the Ishtar he summoned. It would be great if we could unite the demigods and the conquering king to eliminate this god first. With this idea in mind, Tokiomi Tosaka had already ordered Kodomine Kirai to join the Conqueror King's alliance. I was planning to persuade Ishtar to join, but at present, it seems unlikely. The command spell in his hand now only has one stroke. There is no way to limit this willful goddess. Sure enough, in the face of Tosaka Tokiomi's words, Ishtar was very dismissive. Are you questioning this goddess? As a fool, do you question this powerful and noble goddess? Even if that guy is some kind of Indra, this goddess has not come up with a trump card. It's just Su Mo. If I hadn't been interrupted by a stupid guy like you, I would have solved it yesterday. Hearing this, Tokiomi Tosaka face-bombed. It's not that he doesn't want to believe Ishtar. In fact, Ishtar's expression was too guilty when she said these words, and her tone seemed insincere. At first glance, he seems to be a tough talker, knowing that he can't win, but still trying to show off. Tokiomi Tosaka sighed again and looked at Ishtar speechlessly. Goddess Ishtar, the current situation is not about whether you are willing to form an alliance with the other party. But if you are unwilling to form an alliance, the other party will come knocking on your door. This is also the information that Kodomine Kirai found out after infiltrating the Alliance of Conquerors. The Conqueror King does want to join forces with the goddess. Although I have been attacked by the goddess before, but with his big heart, he doesn't mind these little things at all. However, Ishtar's appearance did not look like a reasonable type. Therefore, the Conqueror did not have high hopes for the invitation to form an alliance. And they have made a decision. If Ishtar refuses to ally, they operated on her first. If it is not used by me, it will be killed by me. Let's deal with the threat first and build up the team's chemistry. This is also the reason why Tokiomi Tosaka is so impatient. Once considered an enemy by the Conquering King's alliance, regardless of whether Ishtar has the ability to defeat the other party, it's a lose-lose situation. In that case, what else can be used to resist Su Mo? However, for Tosaka Tokiomi's sincere words, the proud goddess just said this. Does a mere mortal want to defeat this goddess? Ha! Let them see the terror of the mistress of heaven. Don't worry, silly pie. I will beat them all by myself. Listen to this. No matter what, Tosaka Tokiomi could not rest assured. But there is no way to change the goddess's will. I can only shake my head and sigh. What evil has he done? After the not-so-pleasant meeting with the goddess ended, Tokiomi Tosaka returned to the room and opened the connection with his familiar. He looked at Kodomine Kirii. Fortunately, you are here, otherwise this holy grail war would be really dangerous. Looking at Kodomine Kirii across the screen, Tokiomi Tosaka felt a rare sense of relief. The goddess would not obey orders. He had expected this. So, after learning that the Conquering King was seeking an alliance, he immediately ordered Kodomine Kirii to join the opponent's camp. Now it seems that my strategy is very effective. Not only did I get the information, you can also ask Kodomine Kirii to help you. And heard Tosaka Tokiomi's words. Kodomine Kirii immediately shook his head humbly. If it weren't for teacher Tosaka's order, I wouldn't have imagined that I would form an alliance with the King of Conquerors. It's a pity that after waiting for a day, no other servants have joined. There are still only 3 of us in the alliance. While reporting on the current situation, Kodomine Kirii felt a little strange. There are a total of 7 servants in the Holy Grail War. As an archer, Ishtar is Tosaka Tokiomi's servant. Now Rider, Assassin, and Lancer have formed an alliance and want to challenge the gods. Saber and Caster are on the side of Indra, the god of war. The only remaining one was Berserker, who never showed up. Generally speaking, a master who participates in the Holy Grail War only needs to see the situation in which the gods appeared yesterday. They should not reject the alliance proposal proposed by the Conquering King. However, after he joined with Assassin, after waiting for most of the day, Berserker did not join. I don't know what the master of Berserker is thinking. Is it distrust of the alliance? Or do you have enough confidence in your own strength? Or do you want to reap the benefits? After hearing Kodomine Kirii's report, Tokiomi Tosaka also felt strange. But now, he has no time to pay attention to these unanswered things. Putting aside the matter of Berserker, has the King of Conquerors decided to attack us? Saka Tokiomi asked about the matter he was most concerned about. Yes, Kodomine Kirii nodded. According to the plan, the King of Conquerors decided to show his sincerity and come to the teacher alone tonight to negotiate. At the same time, Assassin on my side will provide flank cover to avoid accidents. Lancer will be on standby nearby, ready to fight. If the talks go well, we will naturally form an alliance together. But if the talks don't go well, the King of Conquerors will initiate the battle first. Then Lancer will deal with the goddess Ishtar. It has to be said that Kodomine Kirii is a qualified insider. Or rather, because he needed to participate, the King of Conquerors didn't hide it from him at all. So, Kodomine Kirii knew all the battle plans. And he told Tosaka Tokiomi without omission. The King of Conquerors' strategy was simple and effective. He is an upright soldier, Lancer is an ambush, and Assassin is a surprise soldier. The 3 of them cooperate with each other to overwhelm others. Facing such a lineup, if the opponent is full of enemies, even if Ishtar is a goddess, Tosaka Tokiomi feels that he may capsize in the ditch. However, after knowing the King of Conquerors' plan, not only did he not look worried, he also smiled. Well done, Kirii. Sure enough, with your help, I am much more relaxed here. Tosaka Tokiomi was very happy and looked at Kodomine Kirii opposite the familiar with admiration. The King of Conquerors' plan is indeed perfect, one link after another. But I'm afraid he can't imagine that Kirii is on my side. And this point he overlooked is the opportunity for our victory. Tosaka Tokiomi feels that he is safe. No matter how talented the King of Conquerors is, he probably can't imagine that Assassin is a traitor. By taking advantage of this, You can even turn the tables. Chapter 233, Hearing Tashiomi Saka's Smile. Kodomine Kirai asks seriously, "What does Tashiomi-sensei want me to do? Let assassin sneak attack rider." He looked loyal. After thinking for a while, Tashiomi Saka shook his head. The King of Conquerors is not an ordinary heroic spirit. Direct assassination may not be effective. Let him fight the goddess Ishtar first. When the battle is the most critical and he is most focused, let assassin take action. This way, the chances of winning will be greater. Yes, Kodomine Kirai nodded and accepted the order. Then he asked again, "What about Lancer?" Tashiomi Saka had already made up his mind. After the King of Conquerors is dealt with, we can take his place and form an alliance with Lancer. Anyway, our target is that god, and Lancer's master will not take revenge on us because of the King of Conquerors. Although the goddess Ishtar hates Rider, 3.0 does not have much opinion on Lancer. So, as long as the King of Conquerors is killed, there is a great possibility that we will form an alliance with Lancer. His plan is indeed good. After listening to it, Kodomine Kirai also felt that it made sense. Understood. Then I will go and tell Assassin now. Okay. Seeing Kodomine Kirai's obedient and capable attitude, Sakatokiomi was very happy. Kodomine Kirai is still reliable. I didn't think so before, but now compared with Ishtar, this disciple of his is really worry-free. The more he looks at it, the better it is. So, before turning off the familiar communication, he called Kodomine Kirai. "Kirai, wait a minute." Kodomine Kirai stopped and looked at Tashiomi Saka curiously. Tashiomi Saka took out a gift box from the drawer. "Originally, as a gift for your debut as a magician, I should have given you this sword. But now is a special period, and we can't meet. I'll give it to you in person after the Holy Grail War is over." What he held in his hand was the Sword of Azoth. It is a souvenir that parents and teachers often give as gifts during adult ceremonies or when students have achieved academic success. After seeing this sword, Kodomine Kirai narrowed his eyes slightly. Then he immediately thanked Tashiomi Saka. The two sides communicated harmoniously. What a happy picture between teacher and student. 192 Ishtar. I'm here to negotiate. After the two sides finished communicating, the familiar had been turned off. But Tashiomi Saka didn't come back to his senses for a long time. The respectful and reliable look of Kodomine Kirai just now deeply healed the pain in his heart. The pain caused by Ishtar. So much so that Tosaka Tokiomi didn't want to go out and face the goddess. However, hiding in the room is not good. People of the Tosaka family should be elegant. With this mentality, he was ready to accept the scolding of the foul-mouthed goddess. He stepped into the living room resolutely. On the other side, Kodomine Kirai turned off the communication, but a strange smile hung on his face. "I didn't expect that guy to trust you so much." Behind Kodomine Kirai, a childish voice came. It was the voice of his daughter, Colin. The silver-haired little girl had a bad smile on her face. "I really want to let that magician see what kind of person his trusted disciple is. If, when he is sure of victory, he finds that his disciple does not obey his orders at all. At that time, I believe the expression on his face will become quite interesting." For her, the scene in front of her couldn't be more interesting. Sakatokiomi, that old-fashioned guy, actually regarded Kodomine Kirai as a reliable disciple. It seems that neither Kodomine Kirai's master nor his father. They probably didn't realize the nature of this man. The only person they realized was probably their dead mother. Colin felt a little irritated when she thought of this. At this time, little Jack beside her pulled Karen's little hand. "Don't be angry, sister. We will chop whoever makes you angry." The silver-haired loli who looks 8 or 9 years old calls the silver-haired little girl, who is only 5 years old, sister. Although it looks a bit strange, the people present have already adapted to it. Kodomine Kirai tensed up and was a little speechless, because little Jack's vicious eyes were aimed at him. It was as if he thought that Kodomine Kirai had made Colin angry. So he was eager to cut him. He was obviously the master, but little Jack had always looked at him as a bad guy. Kodomine Kirai was a little tired. Fortunately, what was about to happen tonight made him a little excited. So, little Jack's eyes were not worth paying attention to. As everyone waited absent-mindedly, The day passed quickly. Night fell. Above the starry sky, a galloping thunder chariot crossed the sky. This was the Conqueror King's divine wheel, and the target of the wheel was the Tsaka family. Ishtar, I'm here to negotiate. The King of Conquerors came with his master, Weber, and shouted in front of the Tosaka residents. Weber was very immature as a magician, but the King of Conquerors liked him very much. Not only because of Weber's clever and unique insights, but also because he never lacked courage. For this operation, the King of Conquerors, who had anticipated a conflict, originally suggested that Weber stay. However, Weber refused on the grounds that hiding aside was not considered participating in the war. Weber Velvet participated in this Holy Grail war in order to seek recognition. He was not going to be afraid of fighting. With his courageous master, the King of Conquerors came to the Tosaka family to seek an alliance. Then he heard the goddess's reply. You dare to come to the door? Before he saw the person, he heard the goddess' dissatisfied voice. Then, clang, colorful gems were thrown out. This was the gem magic he had seen before. The war was about to break out. There was no negotiation process at all. However, both Tosaka Tokiomi and the King of Conquerors had anticipated this. It seems that the negotiations have broken down. The King of Conquerors laughed heartily, facing the overwhelming jewel-like cannons that had previously frustrated him. At this moment, he did not feel troubled as before. Warriors, protect me! With the King of Conquerors' loud shouts, dozens of servants wearing armor and carrying weapons appeared. They blocked the incoming jewel magic. This is an alternative way to use the King of Conquerors' highest level treasure, the inherent barrier, King's Army. Chapter 234 soldiers can be summoned directly from the inherent barrier to defend against attacks for themselves. Last night, he did not use this trick because he wanted to hide his trump card. But today, after he decided to fight the goddess, he naturally did not have the foolish idea of retaining his strength. The battle was about to start. Weber also sent a signal above his head in time. Notify the nearby Lancer to come to the rescue. According to the original plan, Iskandar wanted to use the inherent barrier, King's Army, to replace Ishtar's terrifying Bull of Heaven. So, at the beginning of the battle, he opened his own inherent barrier and summoned his own King's Army. With an army of tens of thousands of people, he attacked the goddess. As expected, the arrogant goddess directly summoned the mythical beast. Ishtar originally thought that after summoning the Bull of Heaven, she could directly kill everyone in the opposite direction. Get rid of all the people on the opposite side in one go. However, what she didn't expect was, Iskandar was waiting for this opportunity. After the Bull of Heaven appeared, the King of Conquerors directly repelled the goddess from the inherent barrier. He also brought his master with him to the real world. However, the place where they fell was no longer the residential area of the Tosaka residents. It was the Fuyuki Central Park, which was very close to the Tosaka family. This was the location that the King of Conquerors had chosen during the day and could be used as a battlefield. Ishtar, who was repelled by the inherent barrier, was a little confused. But seeing the King of Conquerors, who was full of fighting spirit in front of her, she immediately understood the current situation. Her own Bull of Heaven was temporarily trapped by the opponent. However, with the strength of the inherent barrier, it would collapse in a few minutes. So don't panic. Do you think that I can't defeat you in a few minutes, so you're not panicked at all? The King of Conquerors looked at Ishtar's expression and said with a smile, Humph! Ishtar snorted lightly and thought of something. According to Tosaka Tokiomi, the opponent and Lancer have joined forces. In other words, will Lancer come to besiege her soon? To be honest, Ishtar was a little panicked, but not too panicked. Besides the Bull of Heaven, he had other cards. But Karna was indeed a problem. Even as a demigod, this guy was a hero at the highest level. If he was not careful, he might really fall. In this situation, the two of them faced each other silently. The King of Conquerors smiled and planned. Ishtar pretended to be arrogant, but in fact, she looked a little worried. Iskandar wanted to wait for Lancer to come. Let this demigod hero give Ishtar a fatal blow. Ishtar wanted to delay time, preferably until the Bull of Heaven was freed. However, after the two waited for 15 seconds, the smile on Ishtar's face began to become sarcastic. Oh my! Ryder, your ally will not betray you, right? Why hasn't that Lancer come yet? Ishtar felt that she was fine again. If that demigod was here, I might have to be a little wary. But now, although I don't know what happened, but Lancer obviously didn't come over. In other words, Ishtar only needs to deal with the Conqueror King in front of him. Your biggest trump card has been sealed. What can you use to fight me? The red-eyed goddess said sarcastically. Sealing the trump card is relative. When the Bull of Heaven can't move, the king's army can't move either. And the Conqueror King who lost this treasure, how can he win? Rely on his ox card? Huh, a guy who is not even a divine beast. The Conqueror King is now really sweating on his forehead. Lancer, that guy, didn't come over? That's not right. Based on his understanding of Lancer and Lancer's master, even if the assassin group betrayed, they would not betray at this time. It should be in their interest to attack the goddess. There is no possibility of failure in their own strategy. In this situation, Lancer, who should have been hiding nearby, did not come. The only possibility is, boom, the roar of thunder came from afar. 3:57 The originally clear night sky suddenly changed color. The blue-purple thunderstorm struck the direction not far away like a torrential rain. The moment he saw this scene, the Conqueror immediately understood that this was the power of the gods to manipulate the celestial phenomena. In other words, Lancer seems to have run into that Lord God. The Conqueror smiled bitterly. Man proposes, God disposes. Yesterday, he failed to get that god of war to agree to form an alliance with others. That's why the Conqueror was extremely vigilant today and started a fight at night. I hope that before that Lord God intervenes, I can deal with this goddess. However, things did not go as planned. The Lord God strolled too early and ran into Lancer at the most critical moment of the plan. It can only be said that it was bad luck. All his plans were ruined. However, the King of Conquerors did not lose his fighting spirit. It seems that I can only go on by myself, he said with high morale. In the current situation, it is impossible to wait for Lancer to win and then support him. It is only possible to support the other party after winning. After all, the god of war is much more terrifying than the goddess. Facing this desperate situation, the King of Conquerors' fighting spirit is even higher. Although in the plan, in order to be on the safe side, it is prepared to let Lancer deal with the goddess. However, is it possible for him to defeat the goddess alone? How can you know about this kind of thing without trying? 100 talks are better than a try. With this mentality, Iskandar launched a charge. And as an auxiliary, Waver also felt the determination of the King of Conquerors. Command with the command seal, you must win. Command with the command seal, you must defeat the enemy. Without any reservation, he used up 3 strokes of the command seal in one breath. Strengthened the King of Conquerors to the strongest state. Ha! As expected of a master recognized by me. Feeling the surging power in his body, the King of Conquerors laughed loudly. The lightning flashing from the flying hoof thunderbolt became even more dazzling. 193 God-killing spear. Sun wheel. Submit to death when Ishtar's Bull of Heaven was just sealed by the King of Conquerors' inherent barrier. Su Mo was preparing to end the Holy Grail War. It happened that he met his first target tonight in a corner of Fuyuki City Central Park. What a coincidence, you are also walking here. Looking at Kenneth with cold sweat on his face. Chapter 235 Su Mo put one hand in his pocket and greeted casually with the other. Your Majesty Su Mo. Karna bowed solemnly. Since Su Mo didn't like him calling Indra by his name, he just called him by his pseudonym. Anyway, the level of respect is the same. Looking at Su Mo in front of him, Karna was also a little worried. Excuse me, are you passing by this time, or? Teammate Ryder is fighting the goddess Ishtar. If I were to face this god at this time, their plan was ruined. Ryder may even lose directly because of this. Just when they were thinking this, Su Mo gave them a reassuring answer. Don't worry, I'm just passing by. Just when the two of them breathed a sigh of relief, Su Mo's voice changed. However, it is normal to clear 1 or 2 obstacles when passing by, right? Delivered at the same time as this sentence. It is an overwhelming deterrent. If you don't show your true intentions, you may die. Both Karna and Kenneth understood what the other party meant. Rather than planning things, they felt that they might be more worried about themselves now. Fighting is such a sudden thing, but both Sumo and Karna have long been used to it. This is the karma of being a warrior. After the two came to a deserted place in Central Park, the battle began. "I'm sorry," apologize with simple etiquette. Karna then prepared to fight with all his strength. Kenneth on the side also used the command spell to correct and strengthen Karna without hesitation. Unexpectedly, he would one day face off against Indra, the Emperor of Heaven. Karna was also quite emotional about his bizarre situation, precisely because the opponent in front of him is Indra. Only then did he feel that he had to go all out. This is basic respect for the king of gods. Boom! Thunder falls. Su Mo, who was preparing for a quick victory, had no intention of waiting. The mythical battle between Karna, the son of the sun god Surya, and Indra, the emperor of heaven, begins here. Brahma, cover the earth. Brahma, curse me. Karna, who went all out, used the noble phantasm in his hand many times in a short period of time. However, whether it is an anti-army noble phantasm or an anti-national noble phantasm, they were all directly blocked by the powerful thunder. The gods in front of him were like the sky, possessing boundless oppressive power. Being an enemy of Su Mo is like being an enemy of the sky. No matter what kind of attack, it has no effect at all. This is the weight of being an enemy of the gods. Kenneth, who was watching the battle, had it firmly etched into his heart. That is the feeling of despair when facing an invincible strongman. That is an existence that humans absolutely cannot disobey. However, Karna in the battlefield did not despair, relying on the highest level of magic power to release. He also had divine-level martial arts skills, and he managed to support Su Mo's offensive. The thunder struck him, and even though the damage was reduced to only 1/10 by the sun armor, it was by no means an injury he could bear easily. If this continues, he will soon face defeat, right? Having judged this, Karna tightly grasped the spear in his hand. Su Mo in front of him, like a great devil, he stood still. Seeing Karna's embarrassed posture, he just questioned expressionlessly, "Have you exhausted all means? Have you run out of fighting spirit? Has hope collapsed? Hero of charity, are you going to give up struggling here and wait for death? This is not your style." Su Mo waited for Karna's strongest blow. That's why he didn't kill him for a long time. And the Karna in front of him did not live up to his expectations. Of course not. Show a proud expression. The golden armor on Karna's body peeled off like fragments. The fragments of gold gradually formed another golden gun in his hand. To aim at you with the spear gifted by the great god Indra is a supreme transgression. But if this is your request, please accept my strongest blow. It is different from the weapon Brahmastra given to him by the axe-wielding Rama that Karna held before. Now, the golden spear in Karna's hand. It is a light gun that can defeat the gods with just one strike. In mythology, Karna is about to duel with Arjuna. In order to protect the life of his beloved son Arjuna, the Emperor Indra did not hesitate to transform into a monk Brahmin and ask Karna for his son disc armor that can reduce most of the damage. Karna recognized the identity of the monk in front of him, but he did not refuse Indra's request, because he once swore that he would never refuse the Brahmin's request, even at the cost of his life. Therefore, even though he was born with armor and skin connected together, without hesitation, he cut it open with a knife and handed the bloody armor to Indra. Even Indra was moved by Karna's noble attitude, feeling compelled to give back to him. Therefore, he was given the strongest lightning gun. This strongest lightning spear is Karna's strongest weapon. Originally, he didn't want to use it against the great god Indra, but now it seems that this prince is waiting for him to use this weapon. Karna naturally stopped struggling and took it out. All the magic power in his body was poured into it. Under Su Mo's expectant eyes, Karna threw his strongest treasure to him. Burn it thoroughly, Sun Wheel. Submit to death. The power of this treasure is enough to destroy all single existences in the world. Living things, non-living things, and even any objects, including magic beasts, fantasy beasts, divine beasts, people, shields, armies, cities, barriers, gods, all existences cannot resist. Only the world can confront it, Therefore, in addition to the concept of the world that cannot be destroyed, this lightning spear is set to be able to defeat everything. Facing this extraordinary weapon of the extraordinary level, Su Mo raised his eyebrows. Remove the power of Lord of the Sky. A halo with ancient Persian characters appeared behind him, but he did not activate any incarnation. Instead, he just faced with one hand. He actually wanted to use one hand to use this long spear that was powerful enough to kill gods. Not to mention Kenneth. Even Karna couldn't help but feel frightened when he saw this scene. The strength of this treasure is so strong that even the gods can't take it head on. The god in front of him not only did not try to weaken it, but also did not even have basic protection, and directly used his body to meet this long spear. Isn't this courting death? In a flash, the dazzling lightning shattered Su Mo's left forearm. Even with the physique of a god killer, plus all aspects of strengthening, it is impossible to hold on under this long spear of killing gods. However, Su Mo, who was bearing the long spear of killing gods, his mentality was neither hurried nor slow. Chapter 236, watching his left arm being destroyed by the god-killing spear in an instant. Not only was he not panicked, he even had the leisure to comment. It seems that the legend of the god-killing spear is indeed not exaggerated. The Type Moon world has many concepts, and exaggeration in concepts is also common. The god-killing spear is praised as being enough to defeat the gods with one blow. But if you think about it carefully, you will know that this is impossible. In Hinduism, although Indra has a high status and was once the king of gods, however, the supreme god of Hinduism is not him. Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu are the three supreme gods. If the god-killing spear can really have such a powerful power, as the concept tells, then Indra, who was given this spear, is it invincible in the world? If it is said that as long as it is a unit, it can be defeated, let alone the earth, can Karna have the power to destroy the moon? No matter how you look at it, it exceeds the limit of the servant. Because of this, Su Mo even doubted whether this spear could defeat the gods in one blow. However, after experiencing the power of the god-killing spear in person, he retracted his doubts. Although this spear is far from invincible, but even in the world of god-killers, it is a power comparable to the top powers. If it were those fragile, disobedient gods, they really couldn't withstand this blow. Thinking of this, the fire of the sun began to burn on Su Mo's arm. The arm that was originally destroyed by the god-killing spear immediately healed itself and returned to its original state. This is the blessing of vitality from the sun. Whether it is resurrection or healing injuries, it is extremely effective. The destructive power from the god-killing spear and the vitality from the sun began to wrestle. At the same time, the light wheel belonging to Velislana also began to rotate. The dazzling lightning of the god-killing spear, Goodly Zhao, also gradually changed. Rather than saying that it was attacking Su Mo, it is better to say that this lightning was directly absorbed by Su Mo. Karna was a little stunned when he saw this scene. It's just to recover the power, Su Mo said leisurely. The goat incarnation of Velislana that can control lightning is indeed lame, so I abandoned it at the beginning. However, Indra's lightning spear is really good. It happens to be something of the same origin. I can directly absorb it with Velislana's godhead as a supplement. This is also the real purpose of me forcing you to use this spear. Since it is a gift from Indra, it can naturally be taken back. After using Velislana's godhead, the mystery of the god-killing spear naturally appeared in his eyes. The reason why he used his left hand to carry this god-killing spear was just to spend more time analyzing the mystery of lightning. According to the inheritance in the myth, he can easily recover this power that belongs to him. When the voice fell, the dazzling lightning wrapped around Su Mo's hand also completely disappeared. And behind Su Mo, on the halo of Velislana, there was another pattern. Su Mo, who was unharmed, waved his hand gently. A golden spear appeared in his palm. It was Karna's god-killing spear before, but at this moment, the god-killing spear changed its owner. 194 Disintegration of the Holy Mother. Ishtar's Great Crisis, seeing the god-killing spear in Su Mo's hand. Karna then understood why Su Mo had been trying to force out the last blow before. For unknown reasons, the great god Indra in front of him lost his power to control thunder. Therefore, this lightning spear originally given by the great god Indra was needed to supplement the power of controlling thunder. No wonder I felt something was wrong. It turns out that the previous sky thunder did not belong to the power of the great god Indra. Karna suddenly realized when he first saw the thunderbolt, he did not recognize it as the power of the great god Indra. The thunderbolt just now was not like the power of the god of war he had seen before. He understood everything in front of him. It turned out that what Su Mo used before was not Indra's thunderbolt, but after understanding this, he was even more shocked. In addition to Indra's authority, the great god in front of him actually possessed other powers that could manipulate thunderbolts. Heavenly Emperor Indra, how many vests do you have? Feels good. Su Mo waved the god-killing spear. The power of thunder contained in it is many times stronger than when Karna used it. At this stage, most of his powers still follow the principle that the more mana invested, the stronger the effect. Even the god-killing spear is no exception. Fortunately, he is not an orthodox spearman, so his luck should not be reduced. You know, Karna's luck value has also been A+. He thought about it for a while. Su Mo threw a gun and aimed it at Karna in front of him. Before returning to the throne of heroes, do you have anything to say? The god-killing spear was just a pleasant surprise. 357, he did not forget the purpose of tonight. He came to end the Holy Grail War. In front of Su Mo, Karna shook his head after using all his strategies. I used 3 command spells, but I still couldn't make you move a step. I have no complaints about this defeat. However, before returning to the throne of heroes, I beg you to agree to one of my requests. As he said this, Karna looked at Kenneth. Even though he, as a master, did not understand the hero's persistence. In fact, he was a good person. Oh, you want me to let your master go? Su Mo immediately understood what Karna meant. That's right. I beg you to agree to my insignificant request. Karna bowed his head very seriously. No problem. Su Mo answered very straightforwardly. For the sake of the god-killing spear, I have no reason to refuse you. Then thank you, great god. Karna bowed his head gratefully. Then, the spear pierced his heart. Before his soul was about to be sucked into the Holy Grail, he heard the last words from Su Mo. Your father raised a good son. This was a compliment from the Emperor of Heaven Indra. Thank you, great god. Karna's always calm face finally showed a smile from the heart. The god of war, Indra, praised the adoption. In other words, he praised the father who adopted him. The one who made Karna laugh all the time was the adoptive father that Karna always respected the most. He was just a commoner's coachman. To be able to make his adoptive father receive such an evaluation, Karna felt that he was even willing to die for this. Is this the mercy of the king of gods? At this moment, he finally understood this. With a smile of relief and satisfaction, he left completely. After Karna left the stage, Su Mo looked at Kenneth. According to the agreement between me and him, I will not attack you. But the premise is that you will not hinder me. What's your answer? All you need to do is to get rid of the servants. There is no point in keeping the master. In the Holy Grail War, the master was originally a tool to summon the servants. Chapter 237, therefore, it doesn't matter to Su Mo not to kill Kenneth. Of course, the premise is that this guy won't cause trouble. As for Kenneth, after seeing the power of the gods, he had long given up on being an enemy of Su Mo. Therefore, when Su Mo asked, he immediately leaned down respectfully. Your Majesty Su Mo, I will never dare to be your enemy. This life was given by Karna. I never want to throw it away. I will withdraw from the Holy Grail War. The arrogance of the magician and the majesty of the family master are completely worthless in front of the gods. After the baptism of this mythical war, Kenneth became much calmer. At least, he doesn't look at the Holy Grail War with a condescending attitude like before. Smart move. Su Mo nodded. He didn't say much and left at a leisurely pace. Kenneth, covered in cold sweat, bent over, waiting for him to leave. During the battle between Sumer and Karna, not far away, the battle between the conquering king and the goddess Ishtar soon came to an end. Even the goddess without the bull of heaven. She is still a goddess. It is not an object that humans can defeat. Not even the king of conquerors. The salary of a mountain-shocking star? The A++ level anti-mountain noble phantasm is activated. Using Venus as a concept, put it into the magazine of Tianzoma Anna and launch it. The scene was like a falling asteroid, crushing the battlefield in an instant. The mighty wheel of the conquering king has no resistance at all under this divine power. Even if it was strengthened 3 times by the command spell, it was instantly suppressed. Before defeat, the conquering king only had time to hug his master and jump off the Kamui wheel. Then, you have to face the goddess. Iskandar has no noble phantasm and no outstanding martial arts. Faced with the goddess Ishtar, who also has no noble phantasm, but can use powerful gem magic. The outcome is obvious. Writer, do you have any last words? The goddess Ishtar scatters the gems in her hand. Asked the sure winner. However, even in this desperate situation, the conquering king did not despair. The inherent barrier could only last for about 30 seconds, but he still didn't give up. Ha ha ha, until the end of the battle, there will never be a winner. He laughed loudly. But Ishtar only thought that he was a tough talker. Now that Lancer is trapped, what are you going to do to fight me? Facing the goddess's ridicule, the conqueror just smiled slyly. When did I say that my only ally is Lancer? What? Ishtar was horrified. Only then did he notice that under the night, at some point, a fog had risen around him. The white mist shrouded everything. This fog is poisonous, with A-level magic resistance. Ishtar didn't care about the toxicity of this thick fog. However, she still noticed something bad. Activities under thick fog at night. Goddess Ishtar was not an idiot, and immediately deduced that the mist must have been created by a servant. Assassin. She was on guard. At this time, in the thick fog, the sound of a little girl playing appeared. Beautiful big sister, are you my mother? Hearing this, Ishtar showed a proud expression. Umph. I know beauty, so you have a good sense of aesthetics. But you should wash your eyes. This goddess is a young girl. How can she have a child? There are countless gods pursuing her in heaven. Ken Ishtar's vision. Naturally, I don't like any of them, although in charge of the priesthood of love. But now, she is still in the stage where she likes to mess around to satisfy her desire for fun. The girl's love has not yet sprouted. In other words, you deny it, you don't want Jack. Abandon Jack. The little girl's voice immediately turned ferocious. There was also a vague murderous aura in the thick fog. And for this murderous intent, the goddess Ishtar was dismissive. A mere assassin dares to run in front of the goddess and cause trouble. It seems that this goddess has been completely underestimated. Even a heroic spirit of the level of the king of conquerors cannot defeat myself without a trump card. What kind of strength can a mere assassin display? Ishtar, who was very dismissive of this, threw jewel-like cannons in all directions. Although it failed to hit Assassin, it still blasted away part of the fog. He was about to fly into the sky and escape from this fog. Suddenly, Ishtar sensed a very dangerous aura. Oops! She was suddenly startled. However, little Jack didn't give her a chance to react. Our Lady of Disintegration, Noble Phantasm liberated. 195 The Crazy Ishtar, Shrimp and Pig Heart when Ishtar was surrounded by fog. At this time, Kodomine Kirii was communicating with Tokiomi Tosaka through a magic communication device. Because the battle between Ishtar and the conquering king happened too suddenly. In addition, in order to avoid casualties among ordinary people, the king of conquerors moved the battlefield to the central park of Fuyuki City. For a time, Tosaka Tokiomi, who could not share vision with his servants, lost control of the battlefield. Therefore, he could only rely on his loyal and reliable disciples to grasp the battlefield. Caught off guard, the video transmission could not be established in time. Both sides could only communicate through words. What is the situation now? Tosaka Tokiomi asked worriedly. Kodomine Kirii glanced at the battlefield. The goddess relied on the A+ level skill, Magic Release gem. At present, she was swaying Tosaka Tokiomi's savings in large quantities to suppress the king of conquerors who had obtained the command seal. So, The loyal and reliable Kodomine Kirai immediately reported. Teacher, the battle situation is not optimistic. The King of Conquerors used the inherent barrier to trap the goddess's bowl of heaven. Now, Goddess Ishtar is being suppressed by him. If Goddess Ishtar knew that Kodomine Kirai had arranged herself like this, she will definitely not hesitate to use Mountain Shock Star Salvation on him. Hearing Kodomine Kirai's report, Takedo was also a little surprised. Goddess Ishtar is so weak? Ahem. I mean, she is so careless. I remember she has other powerful skills, right? Although the goddess did not report her abilities to Tosaka Tokiomi. But on the battlefield last night, Tosaka Tokiomi clearly saw that the goddess still had some reserved means that she had not used. Therefore, he was a little confused about Kodomine Kirai's report. Chapter 238, however, he never doubted the reliability of Kodomine Kirai. He just guessed whether the goddess trump card would be limited. Goddess Ishtar does have other trump cards. Seeing Ishtar smashed down with a meteorite, instantly defeating the King of Conquerors, Kodomine Kirai pondered for 2 seconds and said, but it was offset by the King of Conquerors' divine wheel. At present, Goddess Ishtar is in some danger. Yes, it is indeed dangerous. There is a danger of laughing to death. Lancer did not come, and the opponent's trump card was defeated by himself again. At this moment, Goddess Ishtar, facing the King of Conquerors, directly laughed a mocking laugh of a cat playing with a mouse. It was so arrogant that it was incomparable. Even Tosaka Tokiomi could vaguely hear Ishtar's laughter. You said Ishtar was in danger. Why did I hear her laughing wildly? Tosaka Tokiomi asked suspiciously. At this moment, he still did not doubt Kodomine Kirai's intentions at all. I just feel a little strange. Kodomine Kirai was silent for 2 seconds. I can't figure out the goddess's personality. He could only say that. He couldn't make it up. However, Tosaka Tokiomi accepted this reason completely. It may be a personality problem. Tosaka Tokiomi nodded. Not to mention that the goddess Ishtar is a crazy woman cough. I mean, she is a goddess with a strange personality. In addition, as a goddess of love and harvest, she also has a fighting priesthood. When facing difficulties, she may go crazy. I mean, she will laugh. Tosaka Tokiomi couldn't help but blacken the goddess twice. Although Ishtar's laughter felt a little strange. But as a master, he didn't understand Ishtar's personality. Naturally, he would not force his disciples to give a reasonable explanation. So, after thinking about it, Tosaka Tokiomi said, if this is the case, should I support Ishtar at this time? He asked his disciples for their opinions. As a master, it is his duty to support the servant. Not to mention that Ishtar is using his daughter's body. Tosaka Tokiomi will naturally pay extra attention. So, after hearing that Ishtar is at a disadvantage, he immediately thought of the command seal in his hand. However, Tosaka Tokiomi is a man who stays calm in times of crisis. Elegance is his style. Judging the situation on the battlefield, he is far away in the Tosaka residence, so he is naturally unable to wait. But in this regard, he can rely on the judgment of his honest and reliable disciple. And heard Tosaka Tokiomi, looking at Ishtar, who was about to kill the King of Conquerors with one blow not far away. Kodomine Kirai rarely said the truth. Goddess Ishtar does not need support now. Before Tosaka Tokiomi asked questions, he spoke again. Because I have ordered Assassin to go to the battlefield. Don't worry, teacher. I will definitely defeat the enemy. He didn't say who the enemy was. Tosaka Tokiomi didn't ask because there was no need to ask. So, Tosaka Tokiomi just sighed with satisfaction. Fortunately, he has this respectful disciple. He said, then I'll leave everything to you, Kirai. Kodomine Kirai smiled. Please leave it to me, master. Isn't the reason I participated in the Holy Grail war waiting for this moment? Both of them smiled with relief. At this time, the thick fog had enveloped the goddess Ishtar. Assassin's noble phantasm, the activation conditions, were finally met. The servant named Jack the Ripper, Little Jack. He has 2 noble phantasms in total. One is a noble phantasm that can generate toxic sulfuric acid fog. The other is a special attack noble phantasm that can only exert its power under limited conditions. There are 3 limited conditions in total, and only when all are met can the strongest power be exerted. Night thick fog, women. And now, the time has come to night. The thick fog was also obtained through the liberation of another noble phantasm. Then, there is the target that needs to be attacked. Goddess Ishtar, female, perfectly meets the 3 elements. In other words, Assassin's noble phantasm can now exert its most powerful power. However, it is not enough. When facing a goddess, one must be extremely cautious. So in front of Tasaka Tokiomi's ears, Kodomine Kirai touched the command seals on his hand and gave orders to Assassin. I give orders in the name of the command seals, and the power of the noble phantasm is enhanced. This was repeated 3 times. He poured all the power of the command seals into the noble phantasm. Kodomine Kirai bet everything on this one strike. Seeing Kodomine Kirai's performance, Saka Tokiomi felt that he had nothing to say. In order to save his daughter, Kodomine Kirai was even willing to use up all the command seals in one go. He was so loyal. He was so loyal that he had nothing to say. Thinking back to the time before, his daughter Rin had always looked at Kodomine Kirai with displeasure. Saka Tokiomi couldn't help but shake his head. It seems that after the Holy Grail War is over, you have to give in to Rin properly and apologize to Kirai. Think so. The violent fluctuations in magic power cut off the communication between them. But Tokiomi Tosaka didn't panic at all. With Kirai here, he is as steady as an old dog. What Tosaka Tokiomi never expected was, currently, the only noble phantasm and skill left is Ishtar's gem magic. Currently facing the siege of 2 servants. On one side is the conquering king who has some remaining strength. On one side, he is elusive and does not even need to get close. It only takes a swing of the knife to inflict a curse on her. Assassin can even inflict immediate death damage at the level of evisceration. If Tokiomi Tosaka could give him a command spell now, the goddess Ishtar will definitely be able to make a comeback. It's a pity Tokiomi Tosaka, who trusted his disciple very much, chose to stand by and watch at this time. That guy Tokiomi is indeed a fool. After waiting for a long time, Ishtar, who did not receive the support from her master, almost vomited blood. Even if she is a goddess, with the body of a servant now, they are all somewhat difficult to come back from. Not to mention, Kodomine Kirai after using 3 command spells. After noticing the communication was cut off, Chapter 239, he lifted up his sleeves wordlessly. There are dozens of bright red command spells on the sleeves. This was something his father, Kodomine Remesa, gave him before he left. Not even Tosaka Tokiomi knew. Order with the command seal. The expressionless Kodomine Kirai was like a ruthless command spell launcher, with Ishtar's resistance to magic and the goddess's endurance to curses. Even the Our Lady of Disintegration can have an instant death effect. It wasn't enough to cause fatal injuries to her in the first place. However, under the fort-like reinforcement of Kodomine Kirai, even the goddess's divine core cannot withstand it. Little Jack is going crazy. In less than 30 seconds, Little Jack's noble phantasm exploded 10 times. Wait until Su Mo rushes over from Lancer. All he saw was the back of the fleeing servant, and the goddess who fell to the ground, Ishtar. What's going on? Su Mo showed a playful expression. Although chasing the petite assassin, it was not too late. But rather than doing this, he was more curious about how Ishtar felt now. So, he squatted down and asked in a relaxed tone, pretending to be surprised. "Oh, isn't this the mistress of heaven, the goddess Ishtar? I haven't seen you for a day. Why are you lying on the floor? What is shrimp and pig heart?" This is shrimp and pig heart. Talent. 196 Ishtar understands everything. The goddess's protection Ishtar, who rushed to the street, immediately recognized Su Mo's voice. She was still a little confused as to why Assassin didn't give her the final blow. It turns out that this god has arrived. "Are you here to see my goddess joke?" Ishtar said viciously. As arrogant as she is, even if she loses, she is not willing to accept the humiliation of her enemy. Not to mention, the guy in front of me was the guy who dared to spank me last night. What a disgrace to the goddess. I have to say, as the goddess of beauty, even though she is using Tosaka Rin's body, she is still quite beautiful. Seeing Ishtar's disgraced look, Su Mo smiled. You look a little cuter now than before. Ishtar's arrogant look before could be called beautiful. But for some reason, Su Mo preferred to see her deflated. The extremely arrogant goddess is really cute when she looks deflated. It's like a naughty kid has been taught a lesson, just like it is now. Huh? It makes people feel happy. And heard Su Mo's sincere praise. Ishtar, who originally thought he was here to mock her, felt a little surprised. You actually praise me for being cute? 357. Ishtar's eyes widened in disbelief. It seemed incredible to her. I thought you were here to laugh at me. Hasn't the man in front of me always had the attitude of the goddess will only disturb me from drawing my sword, and I have no interest in the goddess? Why are you praising yourself all of a sudden? And heard Ishtar's surprised voice. The corner of Su Mo's mouth twitched slightly. This is irony. You didn't hear it? I just came here to laugh at you. Just when he was about to say this. Su Mo suddenly noticed something. He frowned and touched the goddess's forehead. This guy didn't appear directly as a follower, but the body of Yulin who relies on it. At this time, he had just noticed this. If this were 10 years from now, Su Mo naturally thought that Ishtar was possessed by Tosaka Rin. But we are still in the 4th Holy Grail War. Tosaka Rin is only 7 years old. It is completely different from the 17-year-old appearance Ishtar showed before. So before, Su Mo thought it was just Ishtar who borrowed Rin's future image. Anyway, in the absolute Warcraft front, she's done this before. Not surprising either. Therefore, he had never realized before that Ishtar was actually relying on his state. And Ishtar's exit also means Yolin's death. This is not okay. Not to mention that Rin's black stockings will look very good in the future. Simply because of Sakura. He couldn't let Rin die like this. So subconsciously, Sumer immediately raised Ishtar and activated the solar power from Mithras. The life force blessing from the sun was transferred directly into Yulin's body by Su Mo, help Yulin recover from her injuries. With his ability, he can easily transfer magic power through mere contact. No weird methods are needed. He did the same thing when he replenished King Ji's magic power before, and Ishtar immediately felt Su Mo's behavior. Although I find it unbelievable, but is the man in front of him really trying to save himself? He doesn't want to quit? What are you? It's not like Ishtar hasn't thought about Rin inside her. But no matter how you look at the other party, it has nothing to do with the Tosaka family. It is impossible to come here to save the little girl. In this case, there is only one possibility. He came to save himself. Thinking of this possibility, Ishtar subconsciously felt a little moved. When you are in a desperate situation, your former enemies do not add insult to injury, but lend you a helping hand. Such an experience, even the goddess can't help but sigh. If Su Mo had always been very kind to her before, Ishtar would not take it to heart. In her opinion, it is normal for the goddess's believers to do their best to help the goddess. A dog licks until the end and has nothing. But it is precisely because Su Mo's attitude towards her was very bad before. Now, he not only did not laugh at himself, but also directly helped him. In fact, he laughed, but she didn't understand. This contrast makes it more precious. For a moment, the very moved goddess Ishtar said to him, "Don't waste your energy. My spirit core has been broken and can't be saved." In the face of that level of enemy, even the goddess can't bear it. However, even so, Ishtar's fighting ability should not be underestimated. Chapter 240, she is worthy of being a goddess who has mastered the priesthood of battle. Facing an attack from Assassin who has a special attack on him. Before she was completely defeated, she still managed to kill Ryder. Unfortunately, she was still powerless against Assassin, who was strengthened by various command spells. In the end, he was defeated. Even if Su Mo rushed over, her spiritual core would have been broken by now. Can't last more than a few minutes. And heard Ishtar's words. Su Mo just looked at her wordlessly and did not put down his hands. "I'm not saving you. What I saved was my future sister-in-law. in this glance, but he was misunderstood by Ishtar. Even if your efforts are in vain, do you still want to save me? Ishtar was surprised at first, then confused, and then thought of something. Then it dawned on me. I see. She already understood. She understood everything. I see. It must be Su Mo in front of him who finally discovered the cuteness of this goddess. Then I fell in love with myself. This is why he desperately wants to save himself. Only this way. His behavior just makes sense. After realizing this, Ishtar's cheeks turned slightly red. His eyes were full of joy. She is indeed a goddess. Her charm is high. Even such a powerful god is completely obsessed with this goddess and wants to leave her in this world. Alas, this is the feeling of beauty bringing disaster. Ishtar thought happily. It's a pity that I have to go back no matter what. Don't say the Holy Grail war failed. Even if it is successful, she also had to return to Uruk, the Age of Gods, which was the era that truly belonged to her. This Holy Grail war. She just sneaked out of play. Think of this. Ishtar was a little melancholy. My spiritual core cannot be saved, and I must return to Uruk Zero in the Age of Gods. That is to say, in the future, if nothing unexpected happened, she would never have the chance to meet Su Mo again. Unexpectedly, I just understood what the other person was thinking. I will be separated from him forever. Never meet again. If you think about it carefully, Su Mo is actually quite good. He recognized himself at first, but he wasn't too rude. It's just that he didn't agree to his request. Now that I think about it, what Su Mo did before was right. After all, he is also a god. If you accept the gift of the goddess easily, doesn't it mean that his status is lower than this goddess? If you look at it this way, even if the other party spanks you later, it seems to be just a very gentle counterattack. At that time, it seemed that I was the one who was being unreasonable. The wanton Ishtar. Originally, I was the type who didn't reflect on myself at all. If you want her to reflect, the sun must come out from the west. However, because the time of departure is coming. In addition, she was moved by Su Mo's insistence on saving her. Add a layer of he likes me filter. Various factors add up. At this moment, Goddess Ishtar's mentality changed. At this time, Ishtar looked at Su Mo full of unprecedented softness. Well, it's all because this goddess was so charming that she left a seed of infatuation that haunts her. If the man in front of him knew that he and himself could never meet, how painful it must be. Think so. Goddess Ishtar asked Su Mo in a softer tone than ever before. Can you bow your head? Su Mo glanced at her doubtfully. What the hell is this goddess doing? This tone sounds a bit weak. Could it be that she is about to die? However, those who are skilled in art are bold. He didn't think that Ishtar, whose spiritual core was broken, could make any waves. So he bowed his head and leaned over. Caught off guard, Su Mo tasted the sweet and soft texture. The goddess Ishtar is usually proud and willful. At this moment, 3.0 looked at him with eyes full of shame, but very frank. Ishtar blinked and spoke vaguely. Although we may never see each other again. But you like me, I will keep it in mind. So, you must not forget me. This unique blessing from this goddess. Please keep it in my heart. It is delivered together with the sweet taste and the divine power of the goddess. This is the power of protection from Ishtar. It was Ishtar to remind Sumer not to forget her mark. At the very end, the goddess Ishtar kept this hateful man firmly in her heart. In human legends, why do some people wait for lovers who will never come back? Before, Ishtar couldn't understand it at all. I thought it was just random scribblings by those poets. But now, when faced with this situation, Ishtar finally understood this legend, the goddess who holds the priesthood of love. At this moment, only then did I suddenly understand what love is like. Unfortunately, if nothing unexpected happens, this separation will be forever. 197. I always wanted to see this expression on your face. The little romance has just sprouted. Immediately facing separation. In this situation, even Ishtar felt a little reluctant. I couldn't help but hug Su Mo tightly. Continue to ask for more. Su Mo was a little confused. What did this goddess say? I like her? When did that happen? Why didn't he know it himself? When did he like Ishtar? Chapter 241. How could he possibly like an arrogant guy like Ishtar? Hiss. When he was thinking this in his heart, Su Mo noticed Ishtar's eyes, full of shyness, but very frank. Unlike the arrogant goddess before, now Ishtar is obviously a girl who is in love for the first time. I have to say, even someone like Su Mo, who has seen many cute girls, after seeing Ishtar's expression, can't help but feel a little moved. This silly goddess. Why does it feel unexpectedly cute? Are you being covered by the little angel Lele? Thinking of this, Su Mo also took the initiative. He was tempted by her beauty and LSP. Su Mo, who was immersed in it, didn't notice. Ishtar's body gradually radiated light. Then, the body of the 17-year-old girl gradually shrank and became young. In the end, she turned back into a 7-year-old girl, that is, the appearance of Yulin. Su Mo was a little confused. 05, why did Ishtar's tongue seem to have become smaller? The taste was also a little different, but it was still soft. Then, he felt a pain on the tip of his tongue. He was bitten, but the force was not strong enough. Yulin in his arms broke free with a red face. Looking at the 7-year-old girl in front of him, Su Mo was a little embarrassed. Why didn't he notice that Yulin would take over later? Actually, this is a misunderstanding. He said this line that would definitely be misunderstood. However, Yulin in front of him did not misunderstand, although she was a little angry about Su Mo taking away her first kiss. But she witnessed the scene of the goddess Ishtar parting with the other party. In addition, it was force majeure just now. So, Yulin had no complaints about Su Mo himself. She said in a muffled voice, "No need to explain, I understand." As the object of possession, she could actually see all of Ishtar's actions and movements. So, whether it was Ishtar calling her father stupid or the goddess doing this and that with the other party just now. In fact, Rin had feelings. So, Su Mo's behavior without her noticing. In fact, she had experienced it through Ishtar, so she didn't feel that she had lost anything in particular. And you saved me. I want to thank you for that, Rin said very politely. In her opinion, Su Mo's previous behavior was obviously to save Ishtar, although it failed to save her. But he still saved his life. So no matter what, Su Mo was her savior. According to the family motto of the Tosaka family, he should be treated with respect. Seeing that Rin did not pursue the previous things, Su Mo was also relieved. You're welcome. At this time, he glanced at the battlefield, immediately noticed that Ryder had left the field. In other words, the 3 servants Lancer, Ryder, and Archer had all left the field. Saber, Caster, and Berserker were their own characters again. In other words, there is still one enemy servant left to be conquered, Assassin. I should have chased him before. However, if I chased him, I would miss Ishtar's protection. So it's better not to chase him. And, seriously speaking, it doesn't matter if Assassin is left alone. In the Holy Grail War, the necessary condition for the activation of the Greater Holy Grail is that there must be enough quality servant souls to be infused into the Lesser Holy Grail. Generally speaking, the worst servants, 6 in total, can also meet the condition. But if they are good quality servants, so many are not needed. Karna's spirit is basically equivalent to 3 or 4 ordinary servants. The spirit of the goddess Ishtar is not weaker than Karna at all. Not to mention, there is also the spirit of the King of Conquerors, which is also above the average level. Now, the spirits of these 3 servants can already meet the requirements for activating the Greater Holy Grail. At present, the conditions have been met. It would be more convenient to start the Holy Grail ceremony directly than to continue looking for Assassin. Thinking of this, Su Mo was about to go back and start the ceremony of the Greater Holy Grail directly. At this time, Yulin grabbed his hand. Big brother, can you take me home? Yulin looked at him with a pleading look. She also knew that it was not good to ask the enemy for help in the Holy Grail War. However, because of the relationship between Ishtar and Su Mo, and because she was also, in short, Yulin felt that Su Mo could be trusted. After all, it was still a dangerous period of the Holy Grail War. If she met Assassin when she was going home alone, she would be dead. Hearing Yulin's request, Su Mo thought for a second and immediately agreed. No problem. Since he had saved the person, he naturally couldn't watch the other party fall into danger again. Wouldn't that be a useless effort? Anyway, there was only one assassin left outside. However, his base is guarded by Ilya, Kyoheim, and Okita Suji, as well as the set-up rituals for protection, let alone ordinary assassins. Even if Karna attacked, there was no chance of breaking through. So, he chose to agree to Yulin's request. On the way to send her home, Yulin followed Su Mo and couldn't stop looking at him secretly. Finally, after walking a street, she couldn't help it. The little girl considered her tone and asked curiously, "Brother Su Mo, why don't you look sad at all when Sister Ishtar left?" Although Yulin is young, she knows a lot. After witnessing the life and death separation of the two, she thought Su Mo would be depressed or decadent for a while like in the movie. At this time, she would comfort him and forget the heartache. Then she didn't expect that Su Mo, who had experienced the separation, looked normal. He didn't look sad at all. This made her a little curious, and heard Yulin's question. Su Mo showed a funny look. "Are you talking about that silly goddess?" "Yeah." After hesitating for a while, Yulin nodded. "Sorry, Sister Ishtar. I didn't mean to slander you. It's all Brother Sumo's fault. You should take out your anger on him. Why should I be sad?" Su Mo said as if it was a matter of course. Chapter 242. After that stupid goddess did such a thing to me, she was irresponsible and ran back to the age of gods. Isn't this kind of behavior a proper scumbag behavior? Why should I be angry for this scumbag? Yulin was a little confused after hearing these words. Isn't this a super romantic love story? How could she behave like a scumbag or a scumbag? But if you think about it carefully, what Su Mo said does make some sense. At this time, Su Mo added, "Besides, we must never meet in the future or anything stupid. Only that fool would believe it. It's just the power to travel through time and space. Although I haven't mastered it yet, I will have it sooner or later. At that point, it will be time for that idiot Ishtar to cry and apologize. Don't talk about Su Mo from other worlds. Even the Xinyue world has a time and space transfer device. Although I don't know if there is a plot for FGO in this world line. But there must still be corresponding characters. As long as you are willing to spend money, are you afraid that you will not be able to get out of the Chaldea Research Institute? It's nothing more than caching ability. This difficulty is not high." While hearing Su Mo's words, Yulin's eyes suddenly lit up. For Su Mo, it may not be too difficult to achieve time travel 357 degrees. But as a reserve member of the magician, Yorin, who knows a lot of common sense, doesn't think so. In her understanding, gods can only control rights within their own authority. If you can't travel through time in the first place, it will be extremely difficult to reach this point through hard work. So, in Yulin's eyes, Su Mo was making a vow. He said that no matter what, he would meet Ishtar across time, space, and the sea of stars. After thinking about this, Yulin was immediately moved. She actually witnessed with her own eyes a love that lasted even longer than what was seen in fairy tales. It's simply admirable. This made her little girl couldn't help but cheer and celebrate. Her eyes were shining brightly. When I want to encourage and comfort Su Mo, Su Mo told her to be silent. Yulin shut up obediently, a little curious as to why. They had arrived at the backyard of Tosaka residence. It only takes a dozen steps to get home. Just when she wanted to ask, it was heard immediately. It had been a long time since I had seen the voice of the student that my father had taught, Kodo Mine Kirai. It was a creepy, low laugh that made one's whole body feel uncomfortable. Yolin's heart sank. I don't know what happened. However, she had an extremely bad feeling in her heart. "Huh? Teacher, I'm afraid you never dreamed that you would have such an ending. Ishtar actually wasn't going to die. I asked Assassin to kill her. Although I didn't get the final touch, I definitely can't survive." Looking at the confident smile on your face, you must be waiting for me to report the good news. Unfortunately, I only have one piece of news to report. That means you have seen the wrong person. This expression, what I have always wanted to see, is yours. This expression of disbelief is simply pleasant. 198 too weak, no power, hearing Kodo Mine Kirai's words. Yulin was stunned. My mind goes blank, but his face was covered with silent tears. Su Mo frowned. Take a step forward with Yulin. Then they saw it. In the backyard of the Tosaka family, Kodo Mine Kirai, who was laughing happily, was looking at the corpse in front of him and letting out a twisted laugh. The corpse in front of mine, Kirai, is naturally Father. Yulin cried bitterly and staggered over, looking at the red suit lying on the ground. She had an ominous premonition in her heart. Turn the body from prone to front. She saw her father's face twisted in disbelief. Touched his father's hand. Already cold. Apparently, he had been dead for several minutes. They came too late. There was a short sword stuck in Tokiomi's chest. Mercury, sword as off. Tosaka Rin still remembers that this was a graduation gift that the magician's mentor often gave to his students. The one in front of me should be a gift for Kodomine Kirai. As for mine Kirai, this beast, he actually killed his father with the gift he gave him. Thinking of this, Yorin couldn't help but look at Kodomine Kirai, who had been standing still since just now, with murderous eyes. This is the man who killed his father. Yulin wanted to cut him into pieces, but now is not the time to do this. She turned back and knelt down to Sumo. Master Sumo, please, can you save my father? The young girl hugged Sumo's calf and cried. The life force of the sun can only resurrect yourself, not others. Sumo wanted to say this, but seeing Yulin's sad eyes, she still nodded. I'll try. Under Yulin's expectant eyes, Sumo tried it. Then he shook his head. The dead can no longer ignite the fire of life. Bury them properly. Sumo cast his eyes on Kodomine Kirai. Even he didn't expect it. Without Gilgamesh, Tosaka Tokiomi would still be stabbed by Kodomine Kirai. Logically speaking, Kodomine Kirai during the Fourth War would not have realized his twisted nature if he hadn't had Gilgamesh. I don't know what happened to Kodomine Kirai in this world line, so that his twisted nature awakened in advance. For these trivial matters, Sumo didn't pay much attention to them before. He cared more about the victory of the Holy Grail War, rather than the lives of irrelevant people like Tosaka Tokiomi. If it weren't for Sakura, he wouldn't even care about this pot of this world. It can even be said that it was because of Sakura's experience. He only hated Tosaka Tokiomi, the irresponsible guy, even if he wanted to give his daughter up for adoption. But as a father, he was completely disqualified for not finding out about the change in the magic style of the Matu family and the problem of Matuzoken in advance, even if it was because it was not appropriate to find out the secrets of his family's magic. This reason itself also contained the judgment that the path of magic was more important than his daughter's life. This was not the choice a father should make. Besides, although Tosaka Tokiomi had the same expectations for Sakura as Rin, but it is undeniable that he did not consider his daughter's opinion at all. Chapter 243. This kind of behavior puts one's personal will above other people's lives. This is the embodiment of Tokiomi's unethical side as a magician, the tragedy that Sakura would have encountered. It was also the bitter consequences of Tosaka Tokiomi forcing his wish as a magician on his children, and the arrogance of being a successful person. This was also the biggest reason why he didn't notice that something was wrong with Kodomine Kirai's behavior. His death, although not entirely self-inflicted, but it can also be said to be self-suffering. About what happened to him, Sumo had no sympathy. But now, looking at Yulin looking so pitiful, he felt that this kind of experience was too tragic for a child. Although compared to the original world line, it is much better to lose your father and have to be cared for by the enemy who killed your father. However, Tosaka Tokiomi was no longer a thing to Sakura. For Rin, he is a qualified father. So after thinking about it, Sumo said, if you don't mind your father appearing in zombie form, I can resurrect him in the form of a corpse soon. Only one Hades power is enough. Like the Marquis de Vauban, this kind of resurrected person will retain the memory in his brain, and there will not be much difference in personality. But his condition is much better than that of the dead apostles. It can be said that it is a different kind of eternal life. However, for Sumo's suggestion, Yulin wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes, hesitated for a moment, and shook her head firmly. Thank you, but no need. Father said that a magician should be proud of a magician. Even if you die, you must not forget your elegance, and you must not insult the honor of the Tosaka family. She was very grateful for Sumo's proposal. However, Rin would not accept such a father. She knew that her father would never accept such a gesture from her. Finished, Yulin finally accepted the reality of her father's death. She turned her head and focused her gaze firmly on Kodo Mine Kirai. Why would you do such a thing? The young girl questioned. Kodo Mine Kirai faced this look filled with hatred. There was a strange smile on his face. Yeah, why? Even though you look at me with such hatred, I don't feel any guilt at all. Should I say that my moral sense is different from ordinary people's? Or that I am spiritually different from others? Anyway, I'm sorry, Rin. There is no shame or regret in my heart. It is all joy. Kodo Mine Kirai said very frankly. After discovering that he was locked by the Lord God, he gave up the possibility of escape. At this last moment, truly reveal yourself. And at this time, his frankness makes him more likely to be angry. It would be fine if Kodo Mine Kirai had some normal reason. It doesn't matter if it's a vendetta or a love killing. Although Yulin would not forgive killings based on normal reasons, he could understand them. It can be said that there is absolutely no room for understanding what Mine Kirai said. There is no reason and no conflict. I just feel like I did it. You could feel pleasure. Not only do I have no regrets at all, on the contrary, I tasted joy because of it. Such a being is not worthy of being called a human being at all. Evil ways. Yorin looked at Kodo Mine Kirai with disgust. I wish I could tear this bastard apart with my hands. But she is too weak. No power. So much so that even though her enemy is right in front of her, she has no ability to take revenge. Just when she was feeling desperate for her own weakness, there was a warm touch on the top of my head, like a father and mother touching their heads. Yulin looked up and saw Su Mo comforting herself. I'll lend you some power. Go ahead, Su Mo said softly. Rin nodded. She felt that invisible power was transmitted from Su Mo's palm to her body. This is the protection of youth, temporarily increasing her power to the level of a heroic spirit. Then, the little girl clenched her fists and held the gem in her hand. Recalling the feeling of Ishtar using gem magic, he rushed towards the father-killing enemy in front of him. The revenge of a girl needs no further elaboration. That's definitely not a happy picture. In short, after avenging his father, Yulin also has the responsibility of comforting her mother. The little girl carried a lot on her shoulders. Fortunately, with Su Mo's help, everything went smoother than expected. After leaving a promise that you can ask for help if you have anything, only then did Su Mo leave Tosaka residence, return to Matu residence. To his surprise, waiting for him to come home, except for Ilya, Irisville, Sakura, Okita, and Kyoheim. There are also two unexpected guys, come to attack the captured assassin Jack the Ripper, with a young silver-haired girl who looked about 4 or 5 years old and looked hopeless. Upon inquiry, this assassin planned to attack Saber and Castor while Su Mo was away, trying to use tricks to bypass Su Mo, the god, to win the Holy Grail War. This was also the strategy formulated by the conquering king before. No matter how strong Su Mo is, all he needs to do is not fight with him. As long as Saber is eliminated, he will automatically be disqualified as a master. I have to say that this move of the Conqueror King is very clever, but he didn't expect that he would be hammered to death by Ishtar in advance. Couldn't get to this last step. It was Assassin who performed this step, but it's a pity. Assassin hasn't broken in yet. He was discovered by Ilya. Then he was knocked unconscious by Ilya's magic cannon. The battle was over before Kyoheim and Okita Tsuji even had time to take action. While interrogating Assassin, since they couldn't get much information out of them, they originally wanted to kill her directly. However, at this time, some people took the initiative to throw themselves into the trap. It was the young girl named Colin next to her. Although she is not the master of Assassin, Goodly Zhao, but he is the one who accompanies Assassin. I saw little Jack attacking Mata residents and not coming out for a long time under the command of the command seal. She realized something, because I couldn't contact Kodo Mine Kirai. I don't want to lose this stupid servant who calls me sister. Chapter 244. Colin mustered up her courage and walked into Matu residence. Then he was captured by Ilya. Although I don't know why, Ilya, who only met me once, was so polite to me. But Karen, who was trapped in the enemy's stronghold, couldn't care less. We can only wait for God's judgment. Kodomon Kirai has so many command spells. He took a look at little Jack's condition. Su Mo finally understood why Kodomon Kirai died, but this servant was still fine. Obviously, in order to let it harvest the lives of Saber and Castor. Kodomon Kirai had used more than one command seal on little Jack before. The command spell brought a lot of magic power, so that little Jack could still stay in this world. It can even last for several days. The only thing I don't understand is, that guy Kodomon Kirai shouldn't have any desire for the Holy Grail. But he wanted to kill his own servant so much. Is it possible? This guy not only intends to harvest pleasure from Tokiomi Tosaka, he even wants to collect pleasure in himself. Want to see Lord Martial God's surprised expression? Regarding the dead person, Su Mo could only guess what he was thinking. However, I guess it is close to 10. 199 to eradicate the evil in this world. The wish of the Holy Grail, a silver-haired Lolita and a silver-haired girl. Su Mo really hasn't figured out how to deal with them. However, at this time, Ilya pulled him aside and muttered something. Judging from Irisveel's expression, she seemed to want to adopt these two little girls. After thinking about it, Su Mo decided to leave the two of them behind for the time being. However, considering Karen's strange nature and little Jack's slightly dangerous wishes, after thinking about it, Su Mo still imposed a certain contract on them to restrain them. Solar power from Mithras. It also gave Su Mo the ability to impose a contract, restraining the two of them, making it impossible for them to cause harm to Irisveel and the others. Nor will he harm innocent passersby. For Colin and little Jack not to be discriminated against. Su Mo did not put the contract pattern on his hands and feet where others could easily see it, but very considerate. The contract pattern was placed on the lower abdomen of the two people. As long as you don't wear too weird a swimsuit, you won't be seen. Simply ingenious. Su Modu admired his pioneering work. Just don't know why. After observing the location of the contract, the silver-haired young girl Colin showed a speechless and resigned expression. My daughter Ilya also looked flushed. Fortunately, little Jack didn't react and was very confused. King G is also very calm. It's just that his eyes look a little eager to try. For their reaction, Su Mo, who had extremely pure thoughts and didn't know anything strange at all, was a little puzzled. Isn't it just a coat of arms? There's nothing strange about it. He doesn't understand that knowledge, forced truth. After dealing with the matter of Colin and little Jack, Su Mo cleared his throat and started talking about business. The Holy Grail War is finally over. I'm going to start the Holy Grail ceremony. Before that, I want to ask, do you have any wishes? The true function of the Holy Grail system is the ritual of access to the source, the attainment of the third Dharma. However, the function of realizing wishes is not false. However, it is impossible to say that any wish can come true 357. Essentially, the Holy Grail is almost infinite magic power for a magician. And with these magical powers, the wishes of most people can be achieved. At least for the average magician, highlight a powerful flying brick. But for Su Mo, this wish didn't mean much. With the huge magic power in his body, it is not difficult to rub the Holy Grail. People often say that you can make a wish to the gods. From this point of view, as long as it is within the scope of power, making a wish to the Godslayer can also achieve the same effect. However, compared to gods who are indifferent to wishes, making a wish to the God Killer would risk angering someone, so no one did it. Here's Su Mo's question. Sakura shook her head. I just want to be with my brother. Her wish does not need the Holy Grail to come true. On the other hand, if the wish of a girl comes true through the Holy Grail, it would be meaningless. Therefore, Sakura didn't want anything. No problem. Su Mo touched Sakura's head and looked at Irisveel. Emmy? Irisveel was stunned. She has only been here for a day. How could such a precious wish-making opportunity be given to her? Is it possible that Su Mo in front of him really regards herself as Ilya's mother and wife? Thinking of this, Irisveel felt a little ashamed. After thinking about it carefully, she said, the long-cherished wish of our Einsburn family is to reach the cup of heaven. So, as long as Mr. Su Mo can successfully obtain the third method, it will be fine. An artificial human of the Einsburn family. Irisveel actually has no objection to the family's mission. As a homunculus, She simply has no wish that the Holy Grail must fulfill. Therefore, as long as Su Mo can obtain the third method, Irisville will be satisfied if she can have a lovely daughter like Ilia in the future. This is also something that can be achieved without making a wish. Su Mo nodded. Next, Dad, don't consider me. I am the human grail of heaven. The wish of the Holy Grail is meaningless to me. Ilia shook her head proudly. What little Jack wants is his mother. But Irisville has decided to adopt her and Colin, so she doesn't have any wishes. Although Colin was a little surprised that it was her turn. But she didn't have any special wishes to fulfill. Don't look at her sharp tongue and twisted mind. But surprisingly, she is a person who is content with the status quo. She has no dissatisfaction with the current situation. Unexpectedly, in the original world line, everyone would fight to the point of bloodshed for the opportunity to make a wish for the Holy Grail. Now, after asking around, no one needs it. At this moment, Okita Tsuji finally raised his hand. Master, I have a wish. I don't want to be separated from the master. The Kendo girl looked at Su Mo pitifully. According to the Holy Grail War Convention, after fulfilling the wish, the servant must return to the throne of heroes. But Okita Tsuji didn't want to leave Su Mo. During this time, she lived happily. If possible, she wanted to stay here forever. So, the wish that didn't matter to others was very important to her. Well, I am the same in this regard. Kingji agreed. Master's wish has not been fulfilled yet. I can't leave, Kingji said with a clenched fist. Master's love is far away. How can she leave just like that? Chapter 245, moreover. Wasn't it promised that Kyohan-chan would win? If I just leave like this, it will be 60 years later at the earliest, right? At that time, there was no talk of Seheim-chan's great victory. According to the future revealed by Ilia, she should have stayed in this world. Hearing King Ji's words, Sakura was half moved and half suspicious. She always felt that the reason why King Ji wanted to stay was not for herself, but for Brother Su Mo. Too bad she has no evidence. Hear them say that. Only then did Colin remember this. He immediately cast an expectant look. She didn't want little Jack to leave either. As for the wishes of the two servants and the expectant look in Colin's eyes, Su Mo just responded with a rhetorical question. Didn't I tell you? The servant only needs to touch the great Holy Grail to obtain the body directly. So, after, even if you don't make a wish, you won't disappear besides. As long as he obtains the third method, he can also give them bodies. So this was not a problem from the beginning. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. I never said that at all. Master, Okita Tsuji couldn't help but complain. But after complaining, she looked happy. But great. In this case, I can stay with Master all the time. She was a little worried before. I didn't expect such a good thing. King Ji also showed a happy expression. Sure enough, I can definitely stay. That is to say, the future Ilia mentioned is true. Xiao Kingji's big victory. Unconsciously, Miss Kyoheim seemed to have completely forgotten about helping Sakura. It should be said that this is a historical inevitability. In other words, the plastic friendship between girls is inherently unreliable. In short, Kingji is very happy now. I heard all your wishes. Su Mo looked at everyone and said, Sakura, please stay at home for now. Okita and your servants will go to Fuyuki City Central Park to wait for me. Before the Holy Grail comes, I still have one more process to deal with. This time, the Holy Grail arrived in Fuyuki City Central Park. But if you just follow the process and make a wish, what you get will only be wishes distorted by the evils of this world. I want to restore normal wish-making function. You must first get rid of the evil in this world. Therefore, before the Holy Grail officially arrives, Su Mo needs to deal with this thing first. Regarding the evil things in this world, even Ilia is not sure. However, they had no objection to Su Mo's arrangement. Everyone set off immediately. Su Mo also arrived at his destination very quickly. Ludong Temple. There is a huge magic circle placed in Inzang Mountain under Ludong Temple. This magic circle can extract the magic power from Ludong Temple's spiritual veins and store it. This is the true face of the Great Holy Grail. And in the center of this magic circle, it is a huge altar with a winter Saint Justiza Ritzlike von Einsburn as the heart of the furnace. That is the core of the Great Holy Grail. Just touching the shell of the Great Holy Grail allows the servant to gain a body. However, if it is the current Great Holy Grail, while giving the servant a body, it will also be blackened. If you want to ask why, just look at the black mud next to it. The desire to dye the colorless magic power into evil in this world. Even if it's not Angola Mainu's true form, but just a fake, can it still have such power? Looking at the black mud around his body, Su Mo was a little surprised. The black mud of this world's evil that can dye the person black. In front of him, it was like a mouse meeting a cat. Keep shrinking. There is absolutely no terrifying appearance in the original work. And for this manifestation of evil in this world, Su Mo had already expected it. Good will triumph over evil, just as darkness will be everywhere it goes. Recite the word spirit that summons the sun. The light of Mithras, the god of light and contract, blooms in this dark space. It's like being burned by fire. The black mud of this world's evil retreated instantly. Light and darkness, good and evil, good and evil. The eternal struggle between contradictory parties is the theme of Zoroastrian teachings. The dualism of good and evil. Under the light of Mithras, most of the evil in this world is burned away in a mere fake. As Su Mo pressed forward step by step, the evil in this world is like a good girl forced into a desperate situation, showing a panicked attitude. Like a tentacle monster, the remaining black mud struggled to break through the envelope of light. But he couldn't get close to Su Mo at all, even within 10 meters. In the end, those who had no ability to fight back were completely wiped out by Su Mo. The magic power in the Great Holy Grail has finally been darkened by the evils of this world. It returned to its original colorless state. Seeing the evil in this world wiped out, Su Mo shook his head regretfully. There is only one reason for your failure. That is, you will not turn into a loli and beg for mercy. Otherwise, he would relent for at least 3 seconds, then kill it anyway. After all, it is different from Karen, Jack, and others. The evil of this world is essentially impossible to correct. Therefore, Su Mo had no intention of letting it go from the beginning. 200 The Origin Vortex, the third method, the misty space after dealing with the evil of this world. Su Mo came to Fuyuki City Central Park. At this time, Ilya had activated the spare Holy Grail. Before coming to Fuyuki City with Irisville, Ilya had prepared a substitute for the Holy Grail. Otherwise, it would be impossible to really let her mother be the container. The spare Holy Grail has enough servant souls. After taking the Holy Grail, Su Mo paused. The wishes of Sakura and the others are all things that can be realized without the Holy Grail. So after asking around, the wish of the Holy Grail was not sent out. In the end, you still have to make a wish yourself. But Su Mo's wish is so far-reaching that the Holy Grail can hardly bear even a little bit. But after thinking about it, if he keeps his feet on the ground, the Holy Grail can indeed help him improve my martial arts to the level of the God realm in all aspects. Su Mo made this wish. After having the god-killing spear, Su Mo realized that as his power increased, he would inevitably be involved in all kinds of weapons. However, now he is only comparable to a master in physical skills and swordsmanship. Chapter 246, although his spear skills were not incompetent, they were only ordinary. Martial arts of this level may be a hindrance in the future. It's better to complete it here in the Holy Grail. In fact, besides martial arts, Su Mo had other wishes to make. However, wishing for the Holy Grail is not just a wish. The wishmaker himself also needs to know the practical way to achieve his wish. That is, the person making the wish decides what to do and how to do it. The Great Holy Grail is only responsible for providing energy and omitting the process. In terms of martial arts, Su Mo does know how to achieve the level of God's domain in all aspects. The Holy Grail only needs to copy the martial arts of all the servants it has summoned and transfer them to him. Don't say anything else. Karna alone has the power to master various weapons. He alone can almost meet Su Mo's requirements. Not to mention that there is no shortage of people with superhuman martial arts skills among Iskandar's army. Therefore, all aspects of martial arts are upgraded to the realm of gods. there is a practical path to achieve it. Once this wish is approved by the Holy Grail, it can be executed immediately. Although other wishes are good, they lack easy ways to be realized and are difficult to be recognized by the Holy Grail. After making a wish, the Holy Grail system comes into play. The Great Holy Grail appears. A massive amount of magic power is activated. The untainted Holy Grail directly fulfilled Su Mo's wish. Su Mo could feel it. Now his control of swords, guns, swords and halberds, 18 kinds of weapons, even pistols, missiles, etc. have reached the level of the gods. It's really a sincere gift package. Seeing his harvest, Su Mo nodded with satisfaction. Unexpectedly, in addition to classical weapons, even modern weapons are included. The Holy Grail actually achieved this. Could it be that in past Holy Grail wars, modern or fictional heroic spirits were summoned? So it was recorded? This is unknown. However, the wish of the Holy Grail is just an appetizer. The real key point lies behind. Even the wish was fulfilled. The surface system of the Holy Grail War has been completed. However, the real purpose of the Holy Grail system has just begun. After the Holy Grail War ends, the spirit bodies of the summoned servants will naturally return to the Hall of Valor. The Hall of Valor belongs to the outside of the world. In other words, the spirit body of the servant in the little Holy Grail will leave this world and reach the outside of the world. Even Ishtar, a spiritual body belonging to the gods, will temporarily leave the world. That membrane between the inside and the outside of the world. It will be temporarily broken through by the spirit body. Form a whole. The Holy Grail system relies on this. When the heroic spirit breaks through the world, use the magic power of the Great Holy Grail to fix this hole. The magic power of the previous wish is nothing compared to the magic power accumulated by the Great Holy Grail for 60 years. After using the huge magic power to fix the hole, the magician can pass through this hole and enter the outside of the world. And the route is right outside the world. This is also what Tosaka Tokiomi and all the magicians dream of. Reach the source. Even the Holy Grail, tainted by the evil of this world, has the ability to reach its source. What's more, the Holy Grail that was repaired by Su Mo was in front of him. Look at the hole in front of you. Su Mo stepped forward without hesitation. The scene in front of him suddenly turned black. There is a feeling of endless falling in an abyss. But Su Mo didn't panic. For magicians, reaching the source may be a dream come true. Even if it means being assimilated by the source, he won't hesitate. However, thousands of years ago, when the Age of Gods was still around, magicians of the Age of Gods are basically all indirectly connected to the source. For a magician from the Age of Gods, reaching the source is no big deal. No need to go out of your way to find it. And this is even more true for gods. Gods are the tentacles of Gaia, but power is innately connected to the source. For gods, they're always connected to the source. Su Mo is a god killer, although it does not have this ability. However, as an enemy of the gods, he also has the will not to be overwhelmed by the source. He noticed it immediately. I have already reached the source. This is the cause of all things, the beginning of all things. Nothing but everything. If there is truth in the world of Xingyue, the face of truth must be the existence in front of us. It's called the vortex of roots, or blank. After realizing that he has reached the source, Su Mo immediately started looking for the third method. Here, the five senses are of no use. There is no concept of space either. If you want to seek knowledge of the third method, you need to rely on knowledge itself. Su Mo immediately began to recall the structure of the Great Holy Grail and the concept of materialization of the soul. Perhaps it's because the one who opened the hole was the product of the third method, the Great Holy Grail. Soon, he found the location of the third method. He was immediately immersed in it, continuously falling and sinking in the materialized knowledge of the soul, sinking deeper and deeper into this dark abyss. The more knowledge you gain, but the hole itself is time-limited. Not long after Su Mo barely mastered the third law and fully obtained its authority, the hole began to shrink. But at this time, Su Mo no longer needed to immerse himself here. The third law is magic that reaches the root after being created. This magic itself directly connects to the root. In other words, as a magician who has mastered the third law, even if Su Mo returns to the inner side of the world, with the connection of the third law, he can still directly connect to the root. This privilege is the proof of a unique magician. It is also an ability that the products of the third law, such as the Winter Saint, can never have. After comprehending this privilege, Su Mo then knew why the guy, Bao Shi Wang, could defeat Zhu Yu with only a human body. Directly connect to the root to study magic. It is the same as inferring the process with the correct answer. When other magicians are working diligently and constantly experimenting and are exhausted by wrong results, a magician who has connected to the root, but he can directly compare the correct answer and check where he is wrong at any time. With such a level of plug-in, it would be strange if the level of magic didn't improve by leaps and bounds. However, the 5 great magicians also have their limitations in linking the roots. They can only link to the field of magic that belongs to them. They can't touch other roots. Therefore, Aozaki Aoko's father couldn't explore the concept of immortality. As a magician, he couldn't break through the shackles of life. In the end, he could only face death. Chapter 247, however, even this was enough for Su Mo. Not to mention that the third method itself has the power of eternal life. Sumo's own lifespan has already exceeded the limit of human beings. With the power he now possesses, he only needs to study the third method intensively. This will greatly enhance your combat effectiveness. After returning from the hole, Su Mo saw Okita and others looking worried about him. Dad, I noticed the breadth of the third method. Did you succeed? Ilia jumped into Su Mo's arms. As the cup of heaven, she immediately noticed the difference in Su Mo. Su Mo nodded. Look at Kingji and others. The matter of helping you get a body will have to wait until I sort out my thoughts. Let's go back first. Return home. Su Mo sorted it out again, after realizing the power of soul materialization. Immediately carried out preliminary transformation on the servants. They were only given bodies, but their souls were not transformed materially. The cup of heaven that wants to directly give Ilia this level of maturity. With his current mastery of the third method, not nearly enough. It needs to continue to be studied intensively. But Tsuji Okita and the others didn't care. Rather, they are happy enough to be able to obtain a body and stay in this world. Amidst the happy celebrations of the girls, Su Mo closed his eyes, entered the foggy space, just emerged from the white mist. Then he saw the pirate Su Mo, who was telling a story, and the god-killer Su Mo, who listened to the story with relish. But, after seeing him arrive, the two Su Mo immediately stopped talking. They stretched out their restless paws. Hey. The two looked like a playboy villain facing a good girl. Shingyue Su Mo silently gave them the palms they extended, one slap at a time. Go. The two Su Mo didn't care about his attitude either. As long as they slapped each other, they achieved their goal. After carefully exploring the power within the body, God-killer Su Mo immediately showed a happy expression. It's so powerful. I really got the third method, Cup of Heaven, as expected of me. Is this the power of immortality? Although lifespan was very long in the past. But after all, there is a limit, which is nothing more than 1,000 or even 10,000 years. Now, having mastered the third method, his lifespan is almost unlimited. He has truly become an immortal talent. 201 God-killer Su Mo's cool moves the power of immortality, although very strong. But for Su Mo now, there is another point that is more important. The amount of magic power. Carefully feel the magic in your body. Su Mo in the world of God-killers fell into doubt. As for the perpetual motion machine, why do I feel that the power of the curse in my body has only doubled? Doubling the spell power at the Godslayer level is actually a big deal. However, for him who had placed considerable hope on it, it seemed a bit insufficient. He thought that after obtaining the third method, he could take off directly. Hearing the words of Su Mo from the God-killer world, Su Mo from the moon-shaped world rolled his eyes at him angrily. If I could master infinite magic power just after acquiring the third magic, then the original third magician would not be dead. If there is infinite magic power, coupled with the power of immortality, Wouldn't the magician who first mastered the third method be able to rule the world? But the fact is he couldn't do this. It can also be judged from this point that the third law is limited. Not to mention, there are many people in the world of Xingyue who have come into contact with some third methods, but they did not show invincibility. However, the theory of perpetual motion is not false. Su Mo, the one who knows the third method best, patiently introduced it. The essence of the third method 357 is to materialize the soul, which can replace the decaying body with an immortal soul. And in the Xingyue world, the magic circuit itself is part of the soul. Once the soul is materialized, it is equivalent to the entire body becoming a magic circuit. The magic power will be continuously generated, which is equivalent to a perpetual motion machine. In the final analysis, infinite magic is just a byproduct of the materialization of the soul. It is because of this principle, although it is a perpetual motion machine, it also has power. Su Mo from Xingyue World spreads his hands. I have only carried out preliminary material transformation of my soul now, so the magic power is just doubled. However, the speed of magic recovery has been greatly accelerated. Under normal circumstances, we don't have to worry about the lack of magic power in the future. Simply put, based on Xingyue World Su Mo's current mastery of the third method, it is not enough for him to directly obtain endless magic power. But, although not to that extent, but with his current ability, he still doubled Su Mo's blue bar. At the same time, Su Mo's recovery speed increased countless times. It can be said that now Su Mo almost doesn't have to worry about lack of mana. Even if all the mana in the body is exhausted in an instant, he can recover quickly. I see. After listening to the explanation of Type Moon Su Mo, God Slayer, Su Mo finally understood the main changes. The speed of mana recovery has greatly increased. This ability is very practical. In the future, you can use the ultimate move as a flat attack. In addition, you just said that you doubled the mana in your body by just carrying out the initial soul materialization transformation. Su Mo in the God Slayer world looked at Su Mo in the Type Moon world with eager eyes. From what you mean? Won't it be that after you fully master the third method, the mana in our body can be further improved? He grasped the key point. Hearing this, Su Mo in the Type Moon world showed a proud look. Of course, who do you think I am? After all, the third law is not power, but magical knowledge. You need to continue to study in depth to gain stronger power. With my current knowledge, I can only do so much for now, but wait until I master the entire third law. Infinite magic power is just something in my hands. Although he wanted to show off, he was right. The third law does have the potential to achieve virtually infinite magic power. However, to achieve this, a lot of research is needed. Even if you are directly connected to the root, you need to turn the knowledge of the root into your own knowledge in order to exert your power. Chapter 248. After hearing the words of Xingyue World Su Mo, God Killer Su Mo and Pirate Su Mo looked at each other and then applauded. Well said. As expected of me. Infinite magic power. Please leave it to the boss. To hug your thighs, you must have the awareness to hug your thighs. For example, when a boss is showing off, he must learn to compliment him. They're the ones who benefit anyway, so why not? Xingyue Su Mo's current achievement has doubled the magic power in their bodies. The recovery speed has been accelerated countless times and has an endless lifespan. This harvest is basically impossible in their world. For such a big man, it is natural to support him. Easy to say, easy to say. Faced with the compliments from the two of them, Su Mo from the Xingyue world accepted it humbly. However, the slightly raised corners of his mouth still showed that he was quite happy. The mist space is different from the moon world. In this world that is all about himself, he feels that he can't help but become shady. Maybe this is the essence of Su Mahjong. After boasting about the joy, Su Mo from the God Killer world suddenly noticed the information in his mind. The spirit summoning ceremony you actually finished it so quickly? He was very surprised. The Holy Grail War has only been going on for how many days? In such a short period of time, it is already good to be able to obtain the third method. He originally thought that such a short period of time would only be enough to collect information on summoning heroic spirits. Unexpectedly, I in the Xingyue world could even master the spirit summoning ritual. Looking at the information, it's actually a finished product? Speaking of this, I was a little surprised, but it was indeed done. Su Mo from the moon-shaped world nodded. He didn't expect to be able to do this. Who would have thought that his daughter would come back and give this thing as a gift? Ilya is such a capable daughter. With this in mind, I will praise her well when I get back. I think if the child stays for a few more days, he will have to return to the future. The boss is invincible. The god killer Su Mo is not stingy in his praise, although I don't know how Xingyue's Su Mo did it. But this thing is important to him. With this summoning ritual, his efficiency in killing gods can be greatly improved. Not only that, but you can also summon specific gods. He has been coveting some power for a long time, but he has always wanted this kind of thing. See how excited he is? Su Mo from Xingyue World reminded. This summoning array is not 100% effective. It is better to say that the probability of effectiveness is only about 30%. Also, consider the possibility that the gods are unwilling to respond. In addition, catalysts such as holy relics are also needed. It's not as convenient as you think. In order to prevent him from having too high expectations, Su Mo from Xingyue World gave him a vaccination. After all, it is a ritual to summon the gods. Even with the top-secret information accumulated by the clock tower, it is impossible to summon 0% 100%. The actual probability of summoning is not high. In addition, the conditions are also relatively harsh. Just like summoning heroic spirits, a catalyst is needed. However, the things used to summon gods can only be sacred tools. This is also quite valuable. Even in the world of god killers, divine tools are not very common. I heard Su Mo's persuasion from Xingyue World. Su Mo from the god killer world nodded. I understand what you said. Besides, the probability of 30% is actually high enough. There is probably only a 1% chance of the ceremony being held in the world of god killers. It is also necessary to consume a Miko as a sacrifice. As for the catalyst, I have a bold idea. There are not many divine tools in the world of Godslayer. The quantity can be up to 2 digits. Moreover, most of them were left behind by Mao Shun. The main gods and god kings left behind fewer sacred tools. If it is a magical tool that is too old, it may lose its power and cannot be used as a catalyst. But in the world of god killers, there are better catalysts than divine tools. I believe that if this kind of catalyst is presented, those disobedient gods will never refuse. Instead, he will descend directly to Earth, become a god of disobedience, and kill him directly. Su Mo from the god killer world said confidently. Hear him say that. Su Mo from the moon-shaped world showed a suspicious look. Is there such a good thing? Why didn't he expect that there would be some catalyst that would cause the gods to descend completely? Not all gods have any special bonds that they care about. Or like Athena, wanting to regain full strength. If I have to say, there is something in the world of Godslayer that the gods care about. That's true. Could it be? Su Mo from the moon world showed an expression of astonishment. Su Mo from One Piece world also guessed something. Are you planning to use the god killer as a catalyst to summon the gods? He couldn't help but ask in surprise. You actually guessed it. Su Mo from the god killer world was a little surprised. But soon 3.0 was relieved. As expected of me, I am extremely resourceful. You guessed what I was doing right away. Then he praised the other party and himself at the same time, using the god killer, who once defeated the god of disobedience to seduce the gods. You are so coquettish. Su Mo from the type moon world complained. His eyes sparkled. The plan of Su Mo, the god killer, sounds a bit unrealistic, but in theory it is very possible. As long as the ritual can be conveyed to the gods, facing the god killer who once defeated himself, those gods will inevitably be unable to resist going down to the world and want to solo again. Then, they were caught by Su Mo in one fell swoop. This move is really amazing. Not only is the probability of success high, but it can also be reused. The god killer has a lot of power. Each power is a symbol of the fate between him and the gods. Therefore, a god killer can be reused several times. Old god killers such as Marquis Vauban and Luo Hao the martial arts king, have used it more times. If all these god killers are tied up, total number of gods that can be summoned is at least dozens. Moreover, Su Mo could also obtain the powers that other god slayers had coveted before. No matter how you think about it, this operation is indeed feasible. 202 defense power, Knight's Allegiance, no more words, I'll go and try it. After careful consideration, the god slayer itself did meet the requirements of the catalyst. Su Mo in the god slayer world said hello and immediately prepared to leave. He was going to go back and try this ritual to see if it actually worked. Goodbye. We are still short of a defense power. I'll leave it to you. Chapter 249. Su Mo from the moon world and Su Mo from the pirate world immediately waved to him and gave him some instructions before leaving. As far as Su Mo is concerned, they now have a lot of offensive capabilities. The auxiliary capabilities are not bad either. The power of Mithras can both heal wounds and resurrect people. The light punishment technique can also increase damage and increase special attack. There is only no defensive power. However, the defensive power in the world of God Killer is quite effective. For example, King of Swords Steel Protection. There are almost no disadvantages except weak fire and high temperature. In the face of most powers, it can protect users very effectively. It even allows users to withstand extreme environments such as space, volcanoes, and deep seas. It is simply a must-have skill for going out and traveling. Moreover, even if it is weak against high temperature, at most it is just not very good at defending against high temperature. Steel's protection itself, in the original work, also has the record of resisting a complete White Horse incarnation. What the White Horse incarnation carries is the flame of the sun. Even the god of disobedience would find it difficult to withstand this attack completely. Steel's protection, which was originally weak to fire, was able to withstand it. Therefore, the immortal body of steel. In the world of god killers, this reputation is by no means an empty one. Hear what the two said. Su Mo from the god killer world waved his hand. Understood. Leave the defensive power and all that to me. He still remembers 05. In his side of the world, Tony, the King of Swords, is still waiting for him. He has been coveting this guy's steel protection power for a long time. After leaving the foggy space, Su Mo returned to the world of God Killer. To be precise, he returned to the palace in Naples. This palace was built hundreds of years ago and was the residence of the King of Naples during the Spanish rule, although it is now opened as a tourist destination. But the most important place was sealed off and used to receive distinguished guests. For example, God Killer. When he returned here, Su Mo realized that it was already dark. Not long after, there was a knock on the door outside. Erica pushed open the door and entered. King, it's already dinner time. To express our gratitude to you, the local magic society specially invited the top chef. Hearing Erica's words, Su Mo was a little confused. Thank you to me? Oh, Erica nodded. The god of disobedience falls from the sky, which itself is a huge disaster that will destroy cities and even countries. At this time, you stepped forward and put an end to this disaster. They are naturally grateful. Not to mention, when you dealt with the disobedient gods, you were so merciful that it didn't affect the city itself at all. They should have come and knelt in thanksgiving for your mercy. It's just that you told me not to disturb you before, so I asked them to leave. When defeating the disobedient god, be careful not to destroy very valuable relics. This is enough to make the Magic Association grateful. Not to mention, Su Mo didn't destroy any buildings this time. This is simply unprecedented. If you can, the local Magic Society almost wanted to erect a monument in his honor. The city that experienced the battle between the Godslayer and the disobedient god remained unscathed. I guess this is the only one, if it weren't for the fact that things in the magic world shouldn't be made public. They even want to promote this city by packaging it as a lucky city. Hearing Erica's words, Su Mo was speechless. Erica, you did a good job. He praised Erica. He didn't want to be knelt down by a bunch of old men and old ladies to thank him. Although as a king, this is inevitable. But if they knew, the god of disobedience was summoned by me this time. You definitely don't dare to say this. Su Mo said a little funny. although he did save this city from the god of Nevermore. However, the god of disobedience himself is what he put down. There's nothing to be thankful for. I heard Su Mo say this. Erica blinked and said playfully, "That's not necessarily the case. Even if they knew that the god of disobedience was summoned by the king, I guess those guys would just pretend they didn't know." Situations are stronger than people. In an era where God's layers take life and death for granted, even if they knew that the god of disobedience was summoned by the god killer, they would not dare to say anything. The psychological shadow exerted by the Marquis de Vauban on magic societies throughout Europe still remains deeply felt today. They did not dare to express their dissatisfaction with the god killer. That's true. Su Mo nodded. The two walked to the restaurant together. This is what Su Mo remembered. "Has there been any report from the Magic Society in Sardinia?" he asked.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.